babies wrote this one. I mean, I guess that makes sense.
Are you starting to see his patterns already?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of tropes. He's got a lot of tropes. For instance, reality television. Isn't it funny? In reality television funny. I think that the kids at home will enjoy all this funniness. It's so funny. And the parents will be like, oh my God, Roger, look, it's our favourite programme. They're making fun of it on Doctor Who. That's what his stuff is like.
Yeah.
The last one he had was fart jokes, and this one he's got reality television because it's so cheeky. Margaret,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, I
so
guess that's
cheeky.
true. Yeah.
Cheeky.
It's all cheeky. Everything's cheeky.
Everything is cheeky.
Cheeks are out.
Cheeks are out in this one, too.
Yeah.
Did you know that his cheeks were supposed to be seen?
Probably.
Jax?
I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised at all.
You were supposed to see Captain Jackass in this episode, and the BBC and their prudence
Captain Jack
said,
Harkass.
oh no, we cannot be seeing this flamboyant man's ass. I'm sorry.
Oh, but it would have been ridiculous.
Well, that's one way to put it. He was flabbier than I anticipated.
I think he's just like a
thought he was
normal
gonna
dude.
be-
He's not like
I-
ripped.
that's what
Did
I'm
you
saying.
think he was
I
ripped?
I thought he was gonna be a little more like cut, and he was just like some schlub
Yeah,
without
he's a
his
schlub.
clothes on. Just looks like some guy. It's like if I took my shirt off. It's very upsetting. I wanted
Well-
Sean Connery. I wanted like this yes, take it all in, and he was doing take it all in, but it was like some American. He's just
He's
some
not
white
British.
guy.
He's just
Okay,
some
so
schlub. The schlub
if-
Jack Harkness. There you go.
Yeah, he is the schlub Captain Jack Harkness. That's what I got out of this. How he's getting so much poon across the galaxy,
It's
looking
the
like
smile
some
and the
schlub.
charm. That's all he needs.
Yeah, you're right. It's because he's got that.
And you don't know.
swarmy-
You didn't get to see the ass. It could be
That's
the
true,
best
we didn't get to
ass
see
in the
the ass.
galaxy. You never know.
Yep. Well, now that's another thing. Captain Jack Harkness, the best ass in the galaxy. What other shows? What other reality game shows could they have done?
Oh, like
Because
back
because they
then?
did all of them, yeah. Because it's like that's the glut, right? That's the time period where there is just nothing but this.
It
shit.
was, and I think that was the whole point.
And it would have had to have been British, which probably doesn't leave out a lot because I feel like the British are the ones that did all that.
Oh, like The Apprentice,
Oh my god.
Biggest Loser.
Could you imagine if they had done The Apprentice?
Yeah, Biggest Loser. You don't lose enough, you get zapped. You gain
Yeah.
weight, zapped.
Zapped. You gain weight, you're zapped.
Well, that's kind of the idea. They did Big Brother.
Yeah.
Probably like a singing one.
Survivor.
Next Top Model. Survivor.
Model.
Yeah, yep, Survivor.
Amazing Race.
The X Factor?
The X Factor. Yeah, that's a very British one. The Bachelor. They could have done The Bachelor if they would have done an American one. I don't know if that one started in England or not. I feel like they all did.
It may have.
Fucking Brits. Like
They have so many things.
that they exported to the U.S. and Australia and any other English-speaking country is the fucking reality TV game shows.
It's kind of ridiculous. You never really think about it, and you're just
like
it's,
all
there's
started
just so
here.
much.
Cash Cab, that could have been fun. I don't know
Cash
how
Cab
they
would have been
done that.
interesting. Well, they just shoot. That's a cab that just circles
The satellite.
the galaxy. Like you're actually
Oh, yeah,
flying
that
out, and then they
would've
just
worked.
boot you from the car.
Oh yeah, they could have just
Yeah.
they literally boot you out of the car and then you die from being
Yeah.
in space.
That's right.
Deal or No Deal.
Ooh, Deal
That
or
could've
No
been a good
Deal.
one.
That would have been a great one. Yeah.
Let's see, Fear Factor.
Oh,
That would have worked.
that would have worked. Yeah. I think they just tried to pick ones that were different enough.
Well, they picked ones that were very popular in England.
Okay. I kind of also thought it kind of like fit that whole trope, like here's a trivia one, like you actually
No,
do
I'm
like a
glad
game
that it was
show.
game shows. Yeah,
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire could have
Right.
been one. So that's why, like, Survivor could have done it, because Big Brother is just Survivor
Yeah.
in a house.
Right.
But, like, Weakest Link works because you get eliminated from the game.
Exactly.
Show as
It's actually a game.
Man,
the other one's just like any of the shows where they're giving somebody a makeover, and then they just take it to the extreme.
That one, we'll get to that, because I was like, what the hell is this? What is this one a parody of? I had no idea. But I was like, yeah, let's see what this just glut. The nadir of television was this period of time, and you can tell because they're making fun of it, and because it's just the absolute drizzling shits. All of this garbage.
Oh, God.
Reality television.
Yeah.
And reality TV game shows. It's absolutely the worst. It's the reason that Doctor Who probably ended up becoming popular again. Oh, look. It's something that is not Big Brother. Oh, I suppose we should watch it then. Oh, it's the Doctor. Oh, I remember the Doctor when I was a young lad. Etc. Anyway, I am Kevin.
And I'm Rachel.
And this is Shelf Life, a podcast where a brother and sister team go through all things pop culture, no matter the genre, to determine whether or not the subject at hand belongs on your shelf. It's a very serious, mysterious, and earth-shattering episode today on Shelf Life.
Yeah.
We have come to the finale. Rachel, what is up for contention? I get to say it because we're actually going to say it. What is up for contention to the shelf today?
We will be talking about the last 2 episodes of Doctor Who Series 1, Bad Wolf, and The Parting of Ways.
A quick disclaimer, if you're watching or following this like on Max, I don't know what the Blu-ray does, but on Max they put the Christmas special as Series 1.
It's not.
No, it's
I
not.
disagree.
It should be the first episode of Series 2.
Right.
Because we are completing...
It's kind of like it's an in-between, but yeah.
It's part of the David Tennant.
That's
it's the
correct.
10th Doctor.
No, you're right. Yes.
We are completing and we are concluding the 9th Doctor, Christopher Eccleston's Doctor.
That's right.
We will have completed all of it, except for his stage play radio stuff in the comic books. Of course, this is the television program, Doctor Who. One of Rachel's favorite television programs. Rachel, it is very exciting as we continue on. But yes, we have done 5 previous episodes on Doctor Who, where we went through episodes 1 through 11. We are going to finish it with episodes 12 and 13. When we get done with that, we will do our typical thing where we are going to rank the episodes for you, determine which episodes have individual shelf life, if any, and then, of course, determine whether or not Doctor Who belongs on the shelf. Now, I want to keep everyone remembering that Rachel and I have very different tastes in sci-fi, calls it, and British television. So just remember that as we get to the end. We might as well just start right away. The first episode, or the 12th episode, of Doctor Who is entitled What, and what is it about?
The 12th episode of Doctor Who is called Bad Wolf, and it is about reality TV shows that actually boot you from reality when you're eliminated.
Mm-hmm.
It also brings to a head something that has been overarching.
Yes, I mean, this is the penultimate episode. It is, in theory, yeah, it's definitely like the running plot is we're back at Satellite 5.
Yes, we're back at Satellite 5.
And instead
that is
of
now
being
run by a corporation called Bad Wolf.
Bad Wolf. And instead of being called the Game Station,
Mm-hmm.
which probably would have been a better title for this episode.
Just call it Game Station.
Game Station. And then the 13th episode could be called Bad Wolf. I don't know if you needed to call any of them the Parting of the Ways or whatever. I was trying to figure out how is that, like, I get why it's called the Parting of Ways, but, like, anyway. It's now a TV broadcasting station rather than just news. They're doing all of these reality game shows, and it turns out, you can see it coming, but it turns out that the game shows are real, and like somebody's controlling and killing off people for real as they go through. So yeah, it's clearly satirizing all of these, as we were talking about in the opening, the mid-2000s and the early 2000s, just a shitload of these garbage. I absolutely hate reality TV. I just do not like it. It is like one of those subjects where I just cannot stand it.
Yeah.
Between that and in particular, this is also like the reality TV game show.
Right.
Because it's like a game show. Like Weakest Link is a game show. Or was.
Right. Yes.
Big Brother was a reality game show.
Right.
It's just people bitching at each other for 15 weeks, and then they just declare a winner.
Right.
That is the premise of that show.
There's a difference there. But they kind of made it like more apocalyptic with like the reality TV being ways of killing people or giving them a lot of money.
35% of this show is going to be me railing against reality television.
That's fair.
And I just, this is going to,
that's kind of the point. I think that was they're making fun of them. So
yeah, this is the 12th episode of Doctor Who. It debuted on June 11th, 2005. So I guess as we're nearing the 20th. I wish it was the 10th anniversary. We're nearing the 20th anniversary of this episode. It was written by Russell T Davies, which, as I was telling you offline, Rachel, you can tell. This one is a Russell Davies. I'm starting to figure out a lot of his patterns. And I can't imagine that he does this for 20 more years. This particular arc, and we'll talk about it here with episodes 12 and 13, I never felt it was more like a comic book until this particular point in time. But this, Rachel, is Bad Wolf. It is the 12th episode of Doctor Who. Let's get right into it. I mentioned that it was written by Davies and then went on my rant because of Davies' writing. Directed by Joe Ahern again, so it's that typical tandem that we've seen over the episodes here. So the episode begins, and it starts by telling us that it actually does a little recap. It
does. Recaps
the long game so that it reminds you that what Satellite 5 was.
Yes. It was the butthole monster.
Yes, it was the butthole monster. That's right. Not Rexacoracle Flabatorius. This one was like the great butthole monster from something.
Yeah, I don't remember. It's fine.
It's fine. He doesn't come back, so it's fine.
No. Jagrafess,
whatever. Yeah, it tells us that we are now 100 years later. So we're going back to the similar timeline that we were at in previous episodes. We're just now 100 years after the Doctor and Rose. Jack wasn't there. The Doctor, Rose, and that turd.
The turd nugget was there. You're right.
In that one. Yeah.
At least they shook him off.
That's right. He's got a computer in his head.
That's right.
The Doctor wakes up in a spinning closet, and he's shouting, trying to figure out what's happening. And he is able to push himself out of the room. I liked the cinematography here with the spinning room so that you know that he's disoriented. So that then you feel disoriented. And he falls into the most 2005 room I've ever seen in my life.
It's so colorful and stupid looking.
It's more 2005 than Jackie and
There's a
Rose's
hand chair. Yeah.
Oh, it's so stupid looking. It's that 2005. We want to be postmodern. Everything is super pastel-y, like colorful,
and colors everywhere that clash.
The fucking furniture from Clockwork Orange is sitting around.
Good lord,
just looks like garbage.
Yes.
And if you're Rachel and I's age, although I bet people still watch Big Brother,
they
recognize this is the Big Brother house. Like you can tell it's the Big Brother house just by the fucking gaudy look of it. Just this.
It's so loud and awful.
Fucking influencer on YouTube designed this piece of shit looking house.
Yeah, pretty much.
A girl comes up over to help him up, and she tells him that the train. Oh yeah, that's just the train's made. It makes you dizzy, and that he was chosen. And he's like, chosen for what? Like, what are you talking about? And there's a bunch of people, or there's a couple of other people sitting on a couch. Watching the television, which I think was a Big Brother thing when they got evicted. I never watched Big Brother.
I have no idea.
Never my thing.
That's gonna be my assumption too. Maybe they just put like the name on the screen or something. I don't know.
The point is that they're sitting at the couch and eviction is coming. So I can't believe I have to explain this. I might not have to, but I'm going to. So Big Brother. Like Survivor getting kicked off the island, they would do a thing where they would evict you from the house. So It was the same idea.
Is it the audience that's choosing though? Who's choosing in this one?
I don't know.
I think the audience is choosing.
I think it's the audience Because Linda with a Y is trying to ask
figure out
him,
if she's
what does
likable.
the audience think?
Yeah.
So I think, when we find out the conclusion, or what's actually happening to them when they get evicted, she wouldn't care what the audience, because it's not like she's getting the book deals.
Right,
shit.
Exactly. So she cares because they're the ones choosing. That would be the only reason.
All the others are upset that eviction isn't 5 minutes, and they can't just bring some new person in. How could that be fair? And I do feel like that also happened on Big Brother, where they would I feel like Love Island would be the modern day equivalent.
I think
where it's
so.
just let's just bring in some random person. This isn't going the way we want it. So then they just bring in some rando to shake things up a little bit. So I was like, all right, here we go. We're going to poke fun at 2005 television here. He gets a request to go to the diary room when he sits down on the couch, which I thought that was weird too. It doesn't really make a lot of sense for him to okay, they just got in, they're talking about how there's going to be an eviction, and they're already will the doctor please go to the diary room?
Right.
So which is the confessional room, right? That's
it's you got the camera in front of you and you just kind of talk, do your own little monologue.
You talk about how somebody stole your coffee in the morning or some shit. They're clearly being watched. And he goes into the room, and they tell him he's live on the channel and to not swear. And the doctor goes, "Oh, you've got to be kidding me." And that goes right into the opening credits. Yes, that's right. We cut back after the credits to Rose, who has woken up on the spotlight is on the floor, and she's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it's just darkness.
This time some guy comes up and tells her that the transmat gives you a bit of amnesia, so she can't remember what happened. And she wants to know where the doctor is, and the guy, he's like, I don't know what that means, but just do what the android says and you'll be fine. And she's like, what is going on? So she can't figure it out.
Yeah, what the hell? What do you mean an android?
Yeah. A stagehand asks everyone to get in position. So we are on some sort of stage.
Something. Yeah. Something's
and
being set up. And we know it's got to be TV again.
Where is the doctor? I was traveling with a guy named the doctor. I was traveling with a guy named Captain Jack. I think she even says Captain Jack. Because she's even they wouldn't leave me. Something happened to us because this doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
Before she can figure anything out, she realizes that, or they reveal that it is the weakest link set. Whatever it used to do. And Rose is on the podium and she's ready to begin the competition.
And she actually has her name on the podium, so she's supposed to be there. They expect her to be there.
Yeah, because she's like, I'm not supposed to be here. I don't know what's going on. And the guy points out well, the podium over there says Rose. Whatever is going on, they plan for her to end up on this game show. So they have it's all ready for her. When we get to the end of this arc, Rachel, I might have to ask you what the hell happened here? I think I know.
Okay.
I think I know.
Okay.
But I'm gonna have to confirm it with you.
That's fine.
That's fine. Then they bring in the android, and it is literally the Anne droid.
Because her name is Anne.
That is so fucking stupid. And I was like, no one is going to get that joke now.
No.
No one in our current or future time is going to get that joke.
I mean, they're going to get that her name must be Anne. That's about it.
Rachel, can you please explain what the weakest link was? Because that's the only way we could explain this android joke.
So, Anne Robinson was the host of The Weakest Link. And The Weakest Link was a game show where it was trivia questions. So it would go around, each person would have to answer a question. And as you answered a question and got it right, the money would go up inside of the bank, right? And in order to keep that money, you could bank the money from whatever anybody else got before you, or hopefully get the answer right and keep making it go up higher and get more money. If you got it wrong, it would go down to 0, and it would keep going.
Right.
That's
it wasn't a
that's
bad
the premise.
concept for a game show. The problem with it was, and it happens in this episode, is that if you were too strong, if you were too good, people would kick you off because they knew that you could beat them. So it was always like the average one would win
Right.
because they voted for each other. So like you would keep the dumbest person around and try to keep the smartest person around, and then kick the smartest person off because then you can beat the dumbest person. That's
Right. Because at the end, you go up to head.
But Anne, the host, was this 1984-esque Nazi. Like she was like
She was
a
mean.
fascist. Like the gimmick was that she was this like German authoritarian.
I guess
she wasn't
you're
German. She was
right.
British, but like she wore this big black like 1984-esque trench coat. And would be like, oh, everyone here is stupid except for me. And she would like make fun of all of the contestants and
She'd
stuff.
be very serious most of the time, and every once in a while she would like make
And
a
had
joke.
short hair, red
Right.
hair with the bangs, and so this android has short red hair with the bangs and the glasses on, and it looks like Anne from The Weakest Link.
Exactly.
It is the most 2005 joke that Doctor Who has made yet. It is so of its time. I was like, I wish I could shove this in front of someone from this year and just be like, do you remember this? Because outside of, if you're over 30, you probably do, because The Weakest Link was huge.
Right.
It was enormous.
Yes.
It was giant in England, and then they made an American version with her, and it was just as big. It was like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is the subsequent, like the follow-up to Who Wants to Be a Millionaire was The Weakest Link.
Right.
We go to Jack, and I don't know what he's gotten himself into. I don't have a fucking clue what's going on.
Well, the only thing I can think is it's one of those my teacher dresses the worst, or I know somebody who needs a makeover, and
Queer
it's one
Eye
of those
for the Straight Guy.
Yeah, Queer Eye for the
is
Straight
what
Guy
all
shows.
I was thinking.
Absolutely. I think that's what it is. I think it's one of those, like, we're going to dress you up, we're going to, find a new outfit, new look for you.
According to the episode notes, it is what not to wear.
Okay, what not to wear. Yeah, that's the one I was talking about, where it's like,
Okay.
oh, so-and-so needs a makeover, so they're going to, put you up for this show to make you get a makeover.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what's happening. So he wakes up on a table, and two robots are talking about his jawline, which, as we have illustrated and demonstrated and discussed, it is prominent. And they say that they're going to give him a whole new image. So Jack, because he's Jack, just kind of goes along with it, because he's probably trying to angle a threesome with these robots.
That's probably part of it, get the threesome in, but also looking for a way out too, while just kind of letting it happen. I think is the idea. Like, okay, this is harmless. Like, let's see where it's going to happen.
That this would be, yeah, I guess you're right. Because Jack's just kind of like, all right, I'll go along with it. I don't care. They can probe. Like, if he would have bent over the table and been like, well, I guess you want to probe me now. Like, that would have
I don't think he would have said that. He understands, like, this world. Well, he understands how, like, this universe is,
right. He doesn't really question, though, that, like, he woke up on a table with two robots talking about needing to give him a makeover. He's just
what
like,
it
all
is? Right. Maybe he recognizes the show.
That's true.
Maybe he's watched it before. So he's like, oh, okay, somehow I ended up on this show. Let's figure out why I have a little loss of memory.
To your point, though, Rachel, he probably is trying to get out of it. I would think, though, that this is the absolute worst scenario for Captain Jack, because seducing robots has to be kind of difficult. Like,
That's right.
do feel like Jack Harkness's first instinct is, I'm in trouble, I'll fuck my way out.
Exactly.
And this is, and it just being robots, he's like, shit.
Right.
It's like,
yes.
It's like these and the Daleks are like his worst nightmare, and the Cybermen, because it's like, God, it's nothing but fucking robots. Like, what am I supposed to do? Although I could see him trying to fuck.
I could absolutely see him trying. And some, like, robots, they have a lot more personality, maybe they're into it.
All right, ladies, let's get this over with. He just unbuckles his belt.
On live television.
So he's like, well, what's wrong with what I'm wearing? And I like that he's like all for it until he realizes that they don't like what he's wearing, and he gets all upset about it. And they tell him that he's got this oaky farm boy thing going on, which Does he?
I guess it's just because he's wearing jeans and a white t-shirt.
Which, I guess, to a British robot in the year 200,000 and 200,100, maybe you do look like some oaky farm boy from 2005. They hit him with the defabricator.
Yes.
And he becomes nude.
Completely naked. And this is where you're supposed to see cheeks, but there are no cheeks.
Unless you were supposed to see a bum. But
it's got
you
his
cannot
bum.
see a bum. This is respectable. This is Doctor Who, God damn it. This is respectable. We're not going to see his bum. So they didn't let him see his ass. It really is a crime that we didn't get to see Jack Harkness's ass.
Yeah, because like I said, it's probably the best ass in the galaxy, and we missed it.
It would have to be.
It has to be.
He's
fine
got
looking. He's not
got
that
so
bad.
much smarmy riz. This schlub. It's the only way. You know, we talked about during the Dr. No episode, if only I had the James Bond riz. I would, if I had Captain Jack riz,
everybody would be going for you.
Either Captain Jack riz.
I think
fine.
he's got more than Bond, honestly, because everybody wants Jack. Everybody.
Everything wants Jack.
Everything wants Jack.
And Jack wants everything, so it works out.
That's also true, yeah.
So when he becomes nude, he goes, "Are we live right now, ladies?" They're like, "You're in front of millions of viewers." And he's like, "Ladies, your figures just went up," because his cock and balls are out. So he's all happy about it. He's like, "Yep,
well, he's
this
making
is
jokes. He might as well.
This is his heaven." So he's fine.
letting everybody know this is what's on the menu.
Year 200,100, Captain Jack Harkness. Back in the Big Brother house, the Doctor is scanning stuff, looking for a way out with the screwdriver. He's completely ignoring the rest of the housemates. And the girl, who, by the way, tells him that her name is Linda with a Y, has the most mid-aughts British haircut and outfit.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Jackie and Rose dress like 2005, but this girl, I don't know who she is.
She's on a reality show.
I hope that she's stuck in 2005. Like, if in real life, she's not allowed to leave that year.
She's the embodiment of 2005.
Like, the year turned to 2006, and she got sucked into a Groundhog Day vortex, and is only allowed in 2005. She has like the bun,
the buns
things sticking
like
out.
space buns almost.
No one's worn that in 20 years. No one.
They're coming back. Everything is coming back.
Nope.
Yes, they are. They're trying.
I won't accept it.
I'm just saying. It doesn't matter to you. It matters to the younger generation. They don't give a shit about what you think.
I know they don't care what I think. I'm too goddamn old. People listen to this podcast going, "The fucking old man doesn't know what he's talking about." And you know what? You have some nerve. I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's
Rachel
right.
knows what she's talking about.
That's right.
Because this is the truth.
You don't know what you're talking about. That's all that's
right.
happening.
That's what happens.
We lived through it already. You didn't.
You got that
Maybe you should listen to us.
That's right. And put down your fucking phone.
But keep listening.
We learned that her name is Linda with a Y, which is superfluous and disgusting anyway. So you can't even talk about how like these terrible, terrible, terrible millennials and Gen Zers name their kids just awful names. Because, I mean, you're giving Linda a Y, and she would have been born in the 80s.
It wasn't just millennials. It was the ones that birthed the millennials, too, because millennials had really bad names, too.
Yeah, because here's a Linda with a Y.
Right.
Why is there a Y there?
Because they wanted to be different.
Yeah, well. Apologies to you if you have a weird name.
They might be apologetic, too. It's all right. Look, you don't have to keep that name. You can do whatever the hell you want with it.
That's right. So she wants to know if she's been noticed by the people on the outside and if people like her. The Doctor, who just wants to get through this and is going to tell her whatever she wants to hear because he thinks, like, whatever, I just need to get out of this room, is like, well, yeah, they like you. Everyone thinks you're sweet. I was waiting for the turn because she's like, people think I'm sweet. I've never heard that. She's, like, very pleased by it and thinks that it's, like, very complimentary.
Linda with a Y, not Linda with an I. She got forcibly evicted because she damaged a camera. Am I popular?
I don't remember.
Oh, but does that mean I'm nothing? Some people get this far just because they're insignificant. Doesn't anybody notice me?
No, you're nice. You're sweet. Everybody thinks you're sweet.
Oh, is that right? Is that what I am? Oh, no one's ever told me that before. Am I sweet? Really?
But from all that we find out about her as the story arc progresses, she is
sweet
and heroic. So it's not like the doctor was wrong.
I guess nobody's told her.
I was waiting for her to like not be sweet, and then through the doctor's adventures, she becomes heroic and sweet. And
I see what you mean.
And grows.
Yeah. Sadly, no.
She's
just
just
sweet. This poor sweet girl.
This sweet summer child. I don't know why I did the poltergeist lady.
Oh, sweet child.
Oh, you sweet.
I'll take you to the light. Don't you worry.
Zelda Rubenstein would have spiced this episode up a little bit. I don't know why she would have been in instead of Linda.
Can you imagine the Zelda and the Doctor?
I really would love that, actually.
Captain Jack would be flirting with her. She'd be like, Captain.
Oh, you're giving me the vapors over here. This tall, strapping young American man. Captain Jack and I are going out for a little trip.
Maybe that's part of it.
She could have been an alien.
Considering she can speak to, like, ghosts and stuff, maybe she's an alien.
Yeah, I like this. This is a missed opportunity.
That's a fun crossover. I like
Doctor,
this.
if you can go back in time and get Zelda Rubenstein in an episode of Doctor Who, please do.
Yeah,
she might have died after and before the resurgence, but you know. So the Doctor says something about there's one wall or there's like one room, and he knows Big Brother. I guess he's watched it before because he's like, there's a garden in this wall, or there's supposed to be like a garden behind this door, I think.
Right.
And she's like, garden? There's no gardens anymore because the Earth is just garbage at this point.
Right.
And now the Doctor remembers. So he talks about how him and Jack and Rose, the three time-traveling amigos, went to Japan in 1336, and they had just escaped, which I would have enjoyed that episode. Give me Japan.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah, medieval Japan. That sounds like an interesting
cool.
episode.
Yeah.
Did they ever do that, Rachel? They ever go to Japan in the samurai times?
I don't think so.
Shogun era Japan?
If ever, then it's probably just like in passing for like 2 seconds or something.
Like this, yeah.
Yeah.
He says they just escaped, and then a light took them. So he's like, and I do like how he's like, Linda with a Y. It's worse than that. Where she asks about, you know, like you were taken up on the ship and stuff, and he says it shouldn't have got him because whatever this transmat thing is, there's no way that it could go into the TARDIS,
exactly,
suck them all out, and bring them here and like actually work. Like that should not be possible. The one camera is like a eye lens, like it's like an actual eye. I think that's purposeful. It could have been something in the actual Big Brother house, though, and I just don't
Probably.
remember.
There probably was like eyes everywhere because you're being watched all the time, so it was probably just something that they always had, was just eyes.
Is this when they explain when she kind of explains what's going on? I can't remember if it is or not, but we can kind of say. So she says that...
What, it goes to the control room?
Oh, it goes to control room in a second, that's right. But... I'm thinking more, and maybe this is later on, where she says that you don't like try out for this. It's just that everyone on Earth is like in a pool.
That's later, but yeah.
Okay, and then they randomly we can just mention it, and they randomly select you to be on the show.
Right, and they just kind of suck you into the show. Right. You have no choice.
And that's how you get there.
That's why I would call this like dystopian reality.
Oh, it's absolutely dystopian.
It's like Ready Player One, but you don't get the choice. Like
Ready Player One, yeah, it's all of that kind of thing where it's just like you just sit on your ass and watch television all day.
You become a victor in the Hunger Games. Here you go, have fun.
Right?
Like what?
A tribute. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, a tribute in the Hunger. You could be the victor. Why can't you be the victor?
You're trying to become a victor. Doctor looks at the camera and he says he's going to find his friends and then he's coming for you, or he's going to find whoever this is. Mm-hmm. And that cuts us to the control room. And it's the same control room that was in the long game. Mm-hmm. It's the same level 500 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing with the hands is there and everything.
Right.
We go to the weakest link, which has begun, and most of the questions are about events and stuff that haven't happened yet. So, Rose gets one that's about math. So she's able to do the math in her head, and then there's like some other question, and Rose starts chuckling at the questions because of how absurd she finds them, and the fact that like she's like, I'm not going to get any of these right.
On a game show, like this is ridiculous. Like why am I even playing this?
This is 198,000 years in the future.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, well, I forgot because it's the TARDIS. I was like, none of them would be speaking English, but I forgot that the TARDIS just translates it all for us.
Exactly. So we don't know. Everybody could be speaking a different language right now.
That's right. Some of the questions are like, who was the Prince of Mars, and there's like all these things and
all these crazy things.
I'll give them credit for doing the writing on this because I always like world building writing where there's no reason for them to put all these in unless I guess they could come up in the future.
They might.
Doctor Who's.
You never know. One answer she gets that it was the face of Bo. So
the
she
face
knew,
of Bo.
we
That's
know
right.
that.
Yeah, she knew the face of Bo. Yeah.
Yeah. She was so excited about that one.
But she's laughing at all of this.
White.
No threat, Rose. In the holodeck series Jupiter Rising, the Grexnick is married to whom?
How should I know?
The correct answer.
And the fact that she's laughing disturbs the control room because they're like, does she know? They think that it's very strange that someone would be laughing on the show.
Yeah, because they're usually kind of freaked out.
Right. Captain Jack is having some fun modeling. He's modeling for the robots. They give him like a leather jacket and leather pants. On top of it, it's a leather vest. It's not a good look. I'm going to tell you right now. And he wears this for the rest of the episode. A leather jacket would have been more appropriate. I don't know if it would have looked too much like the Doctor's jacket.
Oh, that's probably what it would have been, yeah.
But he's wearing this plain white tee and this leather vest.
Yeah, but I feel like that's like...
it clashes. It's like something Elon Musk would wear. And
I
think
don't know if
that
it
he was
clashes,
cool.
and I doubt that man would ever wear anything like that. But I feel like he just looks like a greaser to me.
It's a greaser. It's just the white T-shirt. It looks too clean. Like if it was like a black T-shirt or a gray T-shirt or something like that, I think.
Yeah, but it would have been like. But you got to have that contrast. You're not getting enough contrast. Maybe if you had some color with it,
See, now we're doing what not to wear or whatever. I'm just saying because of the rest of his arc in this, where he's like gets to be the badass. Mm-hmm. It looks too clean of a outfit.
Sure. Well, they could have put him in like a clown's outfit because it was some weird dress up show. So I mean,
sure. They say that he looks like President Schwarzenegger, which God I wish. And I think because it's supposed to be that he looks kind of like the Terminator because he's got the leather pants on.
Oh yeah,
the leather pants is a little over the top. It's very Captain Jack to be wearing tight leather pants, but it was a little over the top. They say that they're going to take a look at his face after they try on the new jacket. He grabs one of the robot's boobs. I don't know if you caught that, Rachel.
What? No, he didn't.
Yes, he does. Grabs one of the robot's boobs. There's a reason for it, but he does do it.
Yes, he does. You're right. He does kind of like a feeler up type of motion. I did not realize that. I wasn't really paying that much attention.
Grabs
this time
the
around.
robot's boobs.
That's
that
funny.
robot's got boobs on her, Johnny. Doesn't make her feel any more or less like this is Twilight Zone. There could have been an entire episode about feeling a robot's boobs, and we kind of covered it. See the back catalog.
Oh my God.
So anyway, they're going to cut off his face. That's what they're clearly planning to do. They just haven't gotten to that point where they tell him yet. I do like the android making fun of Rose for being unemployed.
Yes.
That was it was a very Anne Robinson bit.
It really was, because it's one of those like rude, pointed, strong, like mean jokes type of thing.
Yes.
So, Rose, what do you actually do?
I just travel about a bit. Bit of a tourist, I suppose.
Another way of saying unemployed.
No.
Have you got a job?
Well, not really, no, but...
Then you are unemployed, and yet you still got enough money to buy peroxide.
No. So you're unemployed then. So she is able to get in that, like, Anne Robinson jab.
There's jabs.
Yeah. I can't remember what Rose's reaction to it is. It is kind of like I guess I am on the weakest link kind of reaction. She's just kind of like, huh, all right then.
Mm-hmm. Well, she's like, I don't know how to react to this right now. I think that's kind of all it is.
They ask her who she voted for, and she voted for Fitch, who is this woman to the right of Rose. And Fitch is crying, and she's crying because she's going to be the weakest link. She begs, but Fitch, you are the weakest link. Goodbye. And she takes out this little laser gun thing.
I think her finger just comes off, doesn't it? Yeah.
Oh, I thought it like kind of like comes out of her.
Oh,
like
you're
a
right. I
Dalek.
think it does come out of her. Yeah.
It shoots her and evaporates this lady. Rose is like, holy shit! And then the stagehand is like, we're gonna go to a commercial, and Rose is like, you people are sick. You're evil. Like, she gets it right away. She doesn't go
yeah.
what did I just see?
Yeah,
So,
like, where did you take her? Did you take her somewhere? Like, what is that?
because she's about to say, I'm not playing.
Right.
Before she can say this other guy that's also part of the Weakest Link group says, I'm not playing, and Android turns and is like, well, then fuck you, buddy, and like he tries to like run away and gets shot, and he gets disintegrated.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think they did when they came back from commercial? How did they explain that? Were they like, Broff was murdered during the commercial break because he decided he didn't want to play?
Yeah,
like,
probably. That sounds about right, yeah.
So it's play or die. That's what the scenario is that Rose has found herself in.
Exactly.
So she has exactly 45 minutes to figure out how to get out of this. Or I guess at this point, like 37. Because you're at the first commercial break, presumably. Back in the Big Brother house, they're gathered on the sofa, and they're talking about how the doctor might get them all punished for this. And they're all holding hands, and the doctor like grabs their hands too, and he's like rolling his eyes, thinking it's all stupid.
Right. Because he doesn't want to be a part of this, because again, he doesn't know what's going on right now either.
No, he's just trying to figure out how to get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like annoyed that he has to sit there and do it.
Mm-hmm.
And he thinks that this is just a reality show. So he's like, what are the stakes here? And why
am I on this? This is dumb.
Yeah, why am I captured in this? Although a Big Brother house, I'm surprised they haven't done that yet. But I guess it would be beneath all of the actors. Like, luckily, there was a Big Brother-esque reality show with terribly washed up celebrities in the mid-aughts as well, from like the 70s and 80s.
Okay.
Thankfully, the doctors of the past have not gotten to the point where they would shamelessly all live in a Big Brother-esque house together, and all like 13 of them would just be in this reality show, which sounds great. AI can make that show. I don't want to see the real thing because that would be very sad and depressing. So the one lady gets evicted.
Yes.
And they hug her. She goes into the hallway with some hesitation. And you know what's coming. You know that she's probably going to get killed because all the rest are getting killed as well.
because we just saw that. Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't really mind necessarily if some of these people that sign up for reality TV and do this stuff got disintegrated at the end. Like, hey, you get to be famous.
But
you
only
get
for
to
those
have
2
your
seconds, not
that's
after.
right. You get to have your stupid 15 minutes of fame on this bullshit MILF Island or whatever. But at the end, if you don't win, you're evaporated into nothingness. Let's see if you fucking enjoy it then. You fucking sows that go on this bullshit reality TV.
A bunch of sows,
I'm-
cows, you silly
I'm-
cow.
I'm joking.
No,
I'm
you're
sure
not.
they're all
No, he's not.
lovely
He wants
people.
all of them to be disintegrated. Write it down.
No, don't say that. So if anything ever happens to a reality TV person, there's going to be a knock at my door.
Nobody gives
They're
a
gonna
shit.
be
Nobody
like-
cares.
Nobody cares about reality TV people. I fucking know that.
Exactly.
I don't know who's worse, them or like crypto people. But like they're all bad.
They're all the same.
The doctor says, why is everybody so upset? She's going to make a ton of money on the outside. She'll write a book. She'll go on this press tour, all this stuff. And they're like, what are you fucking talking about? And so they go back and they watch her on the telly, and she gets zapped and disintegrated. And the doctor is surprised by this.
Right.
Back on the Satellite 5 control room, there's this guy in charge saying that, the rumors go back decades that something is hidden on one of the top floors or something like that. And I didn't know if he was talking about the Jaggerfest or what. If he was kind of talking about like, we've been told, like there were rumors that once someone showed up and knew what was going on. If they were talking about the Doctor and Rose from 100 years before. So now they're just kind of like a legend.
I think it became a legend. Yeah, I think that might be what's happening there.
So the one girl that's kind of like his number one says that the controller would know. I kept getting these people mixed up, Rachel, because there's like a girl of, I'm gonna try to remember these. There's dude with white shirt on, British guy with white shirt on.
Okay. The people from the control room. Is that what you're talking about right now? Okay.
And then there's 2 ladies.
There's 2?
That's what I'm trying to remember. Is there 1 or are there 2? Because in this episode, the lady acts like she's like sitting in the chair and he's like overseeing it. But then in the next one,
I don't think he was overseeing it. He went to ask her a question and she said, "Hold on a second, let me do something."
Okay,
he wasn't overseeing
in the next
anything.
episode, they make it seem like she's his boss.
I think
So
she
I
might
was
be
like,
the supervisor.
are these
That's why
2
he was
different
going to ask her a
people?
question. No, it's the same person. It's the same person. Yeah,
Okay.
I think what you're confused by is that he was standing over her when you first saw them, but he was just
Made it look
going
like
up
a
to her
supervisor.
Yeah, and I think he was just going up to her to ask a question.
Because spoiler alert for the next episode, but he asks her out
Yeah.
before they both die.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's presumptuous if he's her boss. And then I was like, oh wait, maybe she's a different person. And I'm just
No, they just work
terribly
together.
colorblind. Yeah, okay. Face blind, whatever. So that guy's talking about the rumors and says this stuff. And the girl is like, well, maybe the controller would know.
Right.
And they're like, the controller. So he says, well, the controller hasn't been human for years. And that's part of the problem, is that she just isn't a human anymore. So they kind of look down on this controller, whatever that happens to be, which we find out right now.
Right.
They go to this room, which was, I think, kind of like where the Jaggerfest was, or like another
I think
like,
it
floor
was.
where it
Yeah,
was.
I think it is.
And they go in this room where one of the Minority Report twins is hooked up to a bunch
Pretty
of stuff.
much. Yeah, I agree. That
Yeah.
is exactly what that looks like.
It's just it's the same year.
Same
as Minority
idea.
Report. Yeah, it's kind of weird. The doctor thinks they are insane for going in on this thing.
Yeah, like
Why
why
would
you
you
do
ever
this?
sign up for this? And this is when Linda explains that, like, no, we
It's not a
don't really
choice.
do that. It's random. There's 60 of these Big Brother houses all going on at the same time. I assume that means it's like regional. So like there would be like a United States Big Brother and like a Mexico Big Brother.
Yeah,
a
I could
Canada
see
Big
that.
Brother. Yeah.
That's possible. Yeah, they
Kill
could
a
have
lot
like a
more
bunch of them
humans
going
that way.
on. Right.
Yeah.
They just have them all connected, and then they put them into the little room to get disintegrated, and then
Yeah.
it's like that whole floor is all Big Brother houses.
I think that's what they're implying, that like that entire floor is the Big Brother house.
That makes sense. Yeah, I like how you're
The-
thinking with that one. That makes a lot of sense.
The doctor busts a camera. He does this because he's trying to get evicted from the house. So
exactly.
he's like,
yeah,
well, if
because the
if
one person broke something and got evicted. So if he does the
Right.
same thing, he's going to get evicted too.
He's testing a hypothesis. Jack is now in a tennis outfit, posing with a tennis outfit on. They
And he
zap
didn't
him
like it
and make
because it's too
him.
pretty, boy.
Yes, that's right. They zap him again, and it makes him naked again. And they're like, "Well, we're gonna get ready. Have you ever thought about, to doing something with your face?" And then they're like getting ready to take his face off. They're gonna give him a dog's head.
Yeah.
He pulls out this compact laser deluxe, and they're like, where did you have that? And he's like, you don't want to know. So he keeps a
We know in the butt cheeks.
I don't do you,
It was
okay,
up the butt.
hang
It had to be fully
Okay.
up the butt, right?
Yes.
Maybe it
Yeah.
it's compact, so maybe it
Yeah.
really shrinks
it can
down.
unfold and shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would not put it past Jack to keep
Absolutely
something in his
not.
ass.
No, because
all
that would
day,
probably
every
be
day.
the easiest thing for him to grab
Yeah.
if necessary, because he's
Yeah,
probably naked
it's
all the
his-
time too.
Yeah. He blasts the
He
robots
doesn't know who he's
away.
getting into bed with sometimes. It's probably bad guys too.
That's right. It's a very James Bond thing to
It's
do.
a very James Bond move.
I keep a revolver in my ass cheeks just in case.
It's the emergency revolver.
It's my emergency revolver. I couldn't quite trust Honey Rider, so I kept a revolver hidden safely but snugly between my bum. All right, let's move on. So the weakest link goes down to 3, and the guy that helped Rose up and stuff is like, I'm gonna keep you because he turns out to be a real shithead.
Oh, he
This
is
guy
a
that
shithead.
helped Rose
Yes.
is a total heel.
He's a schmuck.
He gets what's coming to him eventually. He wants to keep Rose in the game because she's stupid.
Yeah, he just admits to her this. He's just like, yeah, you're dumb. I'm keeping you in so I can win.
He says that he's going to win a bunch of credits, courtesy of the Bad Wolf Corporation. And she's like, bad.
Ooh.
Thank you. Ooh.
Cue the music so that you understand that this is important.
That's right. I like the Bad Wolf theme though.
Oh no, it's great.
I think it's
it's
good.
great. I like it. Yeah.
It's a good.
It's
a
also
good
just Rose's
for
theme,
the
too.
Doctor. He says that the Bad Wolf Corporation is in charge of the game station, which is what we're on. It's the new name for Satellite 5. She starts connecting the words together, and then we end up seeing a montage of all the times that Bad Wolf has been seen or come up across the season so far.
That's right. Big Bad Wolf written on stuff.
The lady in the Charles Dickens episode had the whole thing about telling her, Bad Wolf, and like saw it in her head. She thinks that this all has to have been planned then, so she's putting the pieces together as well. They go to evict the Doctor, so he runs out to the hallway and he's all excited to be evicted, and so like that's funny because he's being Bugs Bunny in this situation. They go to do it and they count it down, and instead of evicting him, the machine powers down. So he's like, "Yep, I was right. Someone brought me here.
Someone
wants
not
going to kill
here.
me." Yeah,
Right.
So he goes to get out and tells Linda to come with. So he's like, I'm just going to fucking leave the house. Like, I can get out now. I'm in the hallway. So he tells Linda, like, because she's like, well, you can't just leave. And he's like, Linda, with a Y, do you honestly think that in this type of a world that you've grown up in and that I have seen they just murder people on reality television is going to vote for someone because they're sweet? And she thinks about it for a second and takes his hand and then goes in the hallway.
Yep, as she should.
He recognizes it as Satellite 5.
Right.
So he says that he was here back when it was called Satellite 5. It used to be a news station 100 years ago or whatever. And she was like, 100 years? And Chris Eccleston, with that big shit-eating Dr. Who grin, goes, I moisturize. So there's a bunch of different games. I wish we could have seen some of like the weird games.
I
want
to see like a screen where we can see more people like playing and getting blown up or whatever. It'd be great.
Right. Yeah. She asks who he really is, and he says that it doesn't matter. And he says, believe it or not, I'm just after a very quiet life. So he says he just wants a quiet life. I guess that's true. Like he wants to travel
and have fun and watch stuff. He doesn't want it to be...
He doesn't want to have to save the damn world every time.
Exactly.
She says that she wants to come with him traveling, which I thought was pretty presumptuous of Linda.
Yeah, like immediately just says, well, can I come with? I can come with you, right? Like, okay,
I guess because of this world that Linda lives in where it's like they're not even allowed to go outside because like there's so much smog and shit in the air and like thermonuclear war or whatever. Mm-hmm. So like they just have their only thing that they do is watch people get murdered every day on television.
Right.
So I guess you could say like she just jumps at the first like opportunity, but it still was a little presumptuous of her to be like, "Oh, I'll come too." Like, what are you talking about, Linda?
Right.
With a Y.
Yeah, you just met each other 10 minutes ago. What do you mean?
She says she wouldn't get in the way, and he says, "I wouldn't mind if you do get in the way." Rachel, I know that you didn't watch this live. So I know that you can't have, like, the reaction that I presume that they were going for with this, which I think is that they're trying to set Linda with a Y up to be a red herring, that Rose could leave and that this person would become the new companion. And then when what happens to Rose later on happens, it's like, okay, I think they definitely are trying to set it up so that you think that this could be the new companion. Did you get the same vibe? I know that you wouldn't have thought that, like, what, because you watched this after it would have aired and you knew who the companion was for David Tennant. But
I didn't. I watched this without knowing what was coming next.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
I'm sure you can't remember because it was probably 15 years ago, but...
Right. I mean, I didn't watch this when it first came out, but I did watch this not knowing what was going to happen.
Where it goes.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. If I remember, I probably figured, like, oh, great, now we're going to have, like, this love triangle thing happening because of the way that, like, him and this other one were kind of flirting.
Yeah, they hint that up a few times.
Yeah, so I think
and they
that's
show
probably what I was
Rose's
thinking.
reaction each time, too.
Mm-hmm.
And that really doesn't go anywhere. It's very, like, yeah, why did they even bother with that?
So I feel like because of that part, and then maybe it was just like a little bit of, oh, maybe Billie Piper isn't going to do this anymore. Like, oh, is Rose not going to be a part of this? Is something going to happen to her in this one? You know, is she going to get killed? That probably was also going through my head.
Yeah. I feel like they're definitely trying to raise the stakes so that
Exactly.
you think anyone could be killed in this.
Exactly.
Like that's
Yes.
got to be what they were going for. Like at best, I was thinking in my head, okay, knowing what happens, I was like, well, at best she's going to just become another Adam and she's going to be tagged along and then there'll be conflict between her and Rose. And I was like, oh, maybe they're trying to set it up like, is she going to be the new? And then, spoiler alert for 5 minutes from now, when Rose gets zapped, I was like, oh, they really are trying to like hammer home that like Rose is dead or whatever.
Yes.
He sees the big bad wolf, or she sees the bad wolf corpse sign.
He sees the bad wolf again, and so he knows now that this is bigger.
Right. That there's like something going on. Because he's speculated in prior episodes that they're being haunted by the bad wolf. We go back to the controller room, and the guy tells the controller that they have a problem. And the Minority Report twin says, keep working. Just keep working.
It's nothing.
And,
They're
like,
nothing. It's nothing. Leave it alone.
Yeah. And the one lady that was with the guy, like the two workers, the lady one tries to go into something called Archive 6, and the controller's like, no!
Yeah, it like
No.
hurts her. And she's like, no,
Yeah.
no, you can't go in there. It's off limits.
It's my pornography.
I knew
Please
you were
don't
gonna
open
go
the
with
door.
that. How did I know that was coming?
I was trying to think of what else could like be like behind all the Christmas presents are in there. You can't go in. There. Are you happy?
It's a little nicer. Look, if we can't see his bum, you can't talk about porn, all right?
That's fair. I would think that all of this would disturb them slightly more because, like, you do your regular job where you work for the Minority Report person. She works for the Bad Wolf Corporation, who you don't really know who you're working for.
Right.
And then one day, this guy shows up, apparently knows what's going on, and another guy had a gun in his asshole.
Right.
And
Blew
murdered
up
the robots.
The robots.
And the
That's
controller
apparently
is
never
just
happened
like,
before.
don't worry about it. I would hope it didn't happen before. It would be pretty funny if he blew up the robots and the girl was like, this is the fourth time this has happened. We keep running out of rosy robots.
Maybe that's happened before. Maybe that's why there's like nobody running in to stop him or anything, you know?
Yeah, this happens all the time. We got plenty of robots. Don't worry about it. Jack has made a gun out of all of the shit that the robots had on their person, apparently. So he takes off with this giant gun. And he tells them, the pleasure was all mine, ladies.
Yeah, he
wanted him to,
kind of
like,
acts like he did something with
do some
him.
finger guns at the
Hey.
camera. And I do like that he says, does he say this or did I write this down? He had to have said this. I'm not this clever. He says, the pleasure was all mine, which is all that matters in the end.
Yes.
So he's
It's
like
the only
talking
thing that
about how
matters in the end.
The only thing that matters is his pleasure.
Damn straight.
He's at least he is a consistent character.
Yes.
I will definitely
He's
give
very
Captain Jack that.
consistent. He has fun, and he's a hero, you know? I mean, he became a hero.
He finds the two hearts using some sort of technology. So he's like, okay, I found the doctor because I found a being with two hearts. I don't know what the hell he was using to do that, but fine.
Well, he probably, because he had all of his weird,
I guess if he had all his stuff
so if he
on
got his
him,
stuff
yeah,
back.
he found it. Yeah, okay. This is the first time where this is supposed to be the next great bountiful human empire. Like this is supposed to be like the peak of humanity, like we were supposed to see in the long game. She's like, oh, well, 100 years ago is about when like everyone says it got really bad.
That the 100 years of hell or whatever it was.
Yeah, and she's like, we used to get news and stuff, but that just suddenly died, and like we have not gotten like any news. It's been 100 years of hell. Stuff just collapsed all around, and the doctor laments the fact that he made this world. So we had that episode, and I was gonna save this in the rankings, and I'll probably say it again in the rankings. So just skip 15 seconds in the rankings when I say it again. But we had that episode where Boomtown, where they were explicitly trying to do a episode about what happens when the doctor just cuts and runs. because the doctor's MO is I fix the problem, I leave. But he never sees what happens. And the whole idea of Boom, that was supposed to be like part of the crux of Boomtown, was that like, oh, he, you know, stopped the Slitheen and then that was it. And like now he has to like deal with like being the judge of the Slitheen or something. There were other things they were trying to do in that episode, but that was one of them. I think this episode does a far better job of showing you that than all of the shit they were trying to do in Boomtown. Because like this is an explicit thing where the doctor got rid of a problem, cut and runs. He doesn't see that because he just goes, "Oh, everything will be fine." And it's like, "Well, what?"
Yeah, he
and I
really
think
does kind of say like, "Oh, everything should be fine now. Everything should just all of a sudden become like the way it's supposed to be."
And I may have even said when we covered that episode, it's from Volume 5. See the back catalog. Did we do that one, Volume 4? That might have been Volume 4. Yeah, so way back. But I might have even said like, "How the fuck does he know that?" Like, he doesn't, like, how does, and you were like, well, I guess because he knows, like, the timeline, but he screwed the timeline up. So now you're seeing that he left this void, and something took over. When we find out what it is, they definitely were, like, waiting for a time when the doctor left a void. Now he's just caused this problem. Jack finds Doctor... I wrote down Jack's leather pants are a bit much, but because of the way that I wrote it down, I wrote Jack finds Dr. Jack's leather pants a bit much. So it sounded like the doctor said those pants are a bit much, which he didn't, but he should have.
It sounds like something he would say, though. You're not wrong.
Yeah. So Jack starts flirting with Linda, and he's like, "I'm just saying hi." And the doctor's like, "Yeah, that's flirting. That's for you, that's flirting." The station is transmitting something else now. And it's a trap for Rose now. So they're trying to all figure out where Rose could be. We go
she's
back
like hidden
to Rose
inside of wherever the room she's in.
Yeah, they can't find her. Yeah, they find the room. I don't know how they find the room. Like, do you remember how they're able to figure out what room they need to go in? Because Linda figures out like what floor she's on, and I don't. And maybe Jack just knows what floor she's on, and for some reason Linda knows that all the weakest links are on that floor.
Oh yeah, I think it was like they figured out the floor that she was stationed to, that she was like zapped into, and then that's why. And then Linda's like, "Oh, I know which floor that is. I know what that means because it means it's like this channel, so it has to be this."
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say, how the hell does Linda know? But
that's got to be what it is. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if this is your entire life is just sitting on your ass and watching TV, right?
Yeah. Rose eventually loses. They go. You see the entirety of the weakest link final round, which is always like heads up, and would just go back and forth, and it was like best of 5 or 6 or something like that. Whoever got the most questions right would win.
Right.
And they'd be like tougher questions. So Rose loses. Roderick was the name of the guy. He wins. He wins 1,600 credits is what I wrote, which does not seem like a lot.
It doesn't seem like a lot. It seems like such
I don't
a
know
small
what the
amount.
Can we get the inflation calculator out and see what the calculator is? $250,000. All right.
That's better.
Anyway. Rose is shouting about trying not to be murdered. Then our heroes are able to get in, and Rose tries to run off. But before Rose can get to them, she gets blasted and is nothing but dust. They actually, for what we know, kill Rose Tyler in this moment.
Right. Yes.
The doctor is distraught.
So is Jack.
And
he's flipping out in the
Jack
background.
is flipping out. I actually like the way that Jack is flipping out. So Jack is like calling them maniacs and monsters and is like fighting them and like fighting security.
Her. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's in the background, so you like hear the echoes of Jack doing this. The doctor, meanwhile,
he's, like,
is just like on his hands
everybody.
and knees, like looking through the dust that's left, the
he
ash that's
shocked.
been left. That was Rose. Yeah. I thought that was effective. It could have been even more effective, I think, if they would have done the Bad Wolf theme a little bit in this moment, too. I don't think they did. I can't remember what the score was like here, but I would have liked that, too.
No, it was just, like, coming to a head kind of music.
Okay. Yeah, I think that...
Very orchestral, very strong.
Sure.
But I think if they would have gone down to the...
Yeah.
It might have taken away, because this is supposed to just be
of Jack being,
like a huge swell of, like... emotion.
Yeah, no score or that theme. I think either way you could have done that. Yeah, because if you do no score, then it brings you and it settles you into this. It makes you feel empty because there's
like
no
they
score.
should have swelled beforehand. It happens and then silence, and then maybe like that hum of like the rose sound underneath, but very quiet.
Yeah, if anything, because then you just want Jack in the background shouting, "You maniacs!" Yeah, they interrogate the three of them, but they're not answering questions. The doctor won't even look at them. They're like in this like jail cell. This was. I know why it's quicker. Like you can picture in Russell Davies' writing, like, and then they get interrogated, and there's this whole they have to break out of jail. But in reality, all that happens is the security guard walks off, and the doctor goes, "Let's do it," and looks at Jack and says, "Let's do it," and then Jack just beats the shit out of the guards in 5 seconds. They take a bunch of guns and leave. It's like, all right, it was just that easy.
Look, I'm wondering if they don't have to do this very often. Like, there's no way they have to actually do any of this.
But it's still a fascistic society, so you'd think that they'd have, a lot of security and stuff.
Absolutely.
They go to floor 500, and it sets off an alarm, and the controller will not stop it. She's like, nope, not going to stop it. Don't worry about it.
She's just completely ignoring everybody.
Yeah. They
just
walk
so you know,
in.
There's an asteroid coming. That's all I'm going to tell you about.
That's all she's talking about. They come in, and he asks the controller who's in charge. They're like, don't shoot, don't shoot. All of the like people that were in the control room. And, and I do like when the doctor goes, like I was ever going to shoot, and like tosses them this giant gun. Yeah.
It was just his way of intimidation.
The control panel guy is like, can I put the gun down? Because the doctor keeps asking him questions, and it was
kind of
heavy.
A funny British bit. I liked that.
It was very British because the doctor's like, hurry up. Yeah,
he's like, okay, fine, and then he goes, okay, sorry, let me just, and then continues on.
It was Russell Davies.
I thought it was funny.
No, I'm not. This one was fine. I'm just saying it was very clearly a Russell Davies like script because it's like, here's this dry humor where like the guy's like, can I just put the gun down
just to diffuse the tension a little bit, like
diffuse the tension.
Thank you. Literally the thing that popped into my head.
That's what I figured.
He tries to talk to Minority Report later. So he's trying to talk to the controller, and she's not responding
Minority
to him.
Report lady is fine.
And the one guy goes, she's not gonna know you because she won't respond to anybody who doesn't work here.
Who doesn't work here? That's right. Okay.
Right.
And she was installed when she was 5 years old, so she's like not even really a person anymore. She's just this
She's
thing.
completely just like a computer piece.
Jack tries to go into Archive 6, and they're like, you can't go in there. And he pulls the guns out, and he's like, please. And he walks in.
Because he knew it was in there, I think, too, because I think he was scanning for the TARDIS.
Oh, okay. All right. That's fair. Because I was like, is he just opening doors, hoping stuffs are in? But the TARDIS was in Archive 6.
Yes.
So the Minority Report lady, here's what I think happened.
Okay, go ahead.
I think we learn in a second that the Daleks are there, and the Daleks control the Minority Report lady, and they are the Bad Wolf Corporation.
Yes.
I think, because I could see this going either way, but I think Minority Report lady is connected to the Daleks.
Correct.
Because she's connected to the Daleks, they let loose that they're afraid of the Doctor.
Yes.
So she used her Minority Report powers to find the Doctor and bring him here so that he could kill the Daleks.
Yes.
Okay.
They do kind of explain that. She talks to him and tells him that.
She got Rose Tyler murdered. I mean, I assume she knew that she wasn't going to be murdered.
She knew what she was doing. She knew what she was doing.
Okay.
She was protecting them.
Because at first, when I first
she had to make it look like she was just bringing in more characters,
just doing her thing. Yeah, yes. And she needed to shield the fact that the Doctor and Rose were there from the Daleks.
Exactly.
As well. Because I was like, why would the Daleks have brought the Doctor here unless it's just that Emperor Dalek is such a so pompous,
with his god complex.
Yeah, that he's like, I'm taking the Doctor out. Unless they thought that I'm going to trap the Doctor here and I'm just going to make him watch as we burn humanity to the ground.
Mm-hmm. Which
but
sounds
I don't
like
think
something
that's
they would do.
Sure. But I think it really was Minority Report lady brought him here to kill the Daleks.
Yes. Because that's why she keeps doing the, there's going to be an asteroid. There's going to be an asteroid because
Yeah.
she knew that was when she could talk to him.
She could talk to him, right?
And nobody could hear besides her.
Or not an asteroid. I think it's like
Wasn't
some
it
sort
like a
of
meteor
wave.
shower
Solar
or
flare.
something?
Solar
solar
flare.
flare. It was a solar flare.
Jack goes into the TARDIS, and Rose's jacket is on the banister, and Jack looks at it. So it's supposed to be like his knowing look that like he's upset that Rose is dead. He goes into a computer, and he goes, "What the hell?" The solar flare comes, and the doctor's like admonishing the staff and stuff. The flare comes in, and the signal powers the place down. So like now, there's no signal going out from the satellite to Earth. They say
Yes.
like they're gonna get reruns and stuff like that. That's all that happens.
And this is when she starts going, doctor? Doctor?
Yes,
Like,
she
I'm
starts
trying to get...
asking doctor.
And she's blind, so she can't see him.
Yeah. She says that the masters can't hear her, and she can't say what they are. And she's tried to hide them in the games. Like, that's why
Yes.
she put them
See?
in the games, was to hide them from the Daleks.
Exactly.
They've been shaping the Earth for hundreds of years, and they're strong now, but they fear the Doctor. And as she says this, the signal comes back. I figured out who it was, because I was like, oh, are they really going to bring them back again? Like, it could have been, like, your Cybermen or something like that. But I was like, no, the way that they talk
Cybermen are
about
different.
them. Yeah.
It could have been the Master. You'll learn him later, but like the Master could have been part of
That's
this.
what I thought the Emperor Dalek was going to be in the next episode, was your, what's the name of the guy that made the Daleks? Zappos?
Davros.
Davros, yes. The Onion Knight, yeah.
Yes, the Onion Knight. Yeah, but like it could have been Davros too. That would have been something because then
like,
he
I
would have
could
been
have
part
seen
of it.
that.
But this is just the Emperor of the Daleks, which is just another Dalek.
It's a big Dalek.
It's a giant Dalek.
Jack tells Linda to stand over there. He's going to demonstrate something, and she goes, "I just want to go home,"
Which is fair.
which I liked. Yeah.
Linda, could you stand over there for me, please?
I just want to go home.
Jack zaps Linda, so he like turns her into dust, and then he reforms her. So I wondered, then is it not killing any of them there? It's a transmat beam, so it's taking them to the across space. So then they both realize that Rose is still alive. So is this transmatting them when we find out what the Daleks are up to, so that the Daleks can turn them into like human mush, like the robots from the Matrix, and they're creating more Daleks out of these people? Yeah.
Well, I think it must be that because they were using humans to create
rebuild the
hybrids
population.
and then
Yeah.
remove the human part of them, which didn't work that
Right.
well. But that's in the second episode.
Right.
We're not there yet.
We learn all of this later on, but it kind of crosses over with
Yeah,
this
we could
episode,
just do
so
that. That's fine.
I assume that
But I think
you
that's
watched
what it
both of
is.
these episodes if you're listening to Shelf Life, and or you don't care. So you're fine with it.
But I agree. I think that might be what it is. They're just using the human meat puppets here as ways of creating new Daleks.
We go to Rose waking up in a new space set. It looks like a new spaceship set. Very
It
much
looks
so.
Dalek-ish to me.
Sure. There's a lot of
Yeah.
roundness to everything.
The balls are everywhere, the coloring, the bronze.
Bronze, yes.
And then we get the perspective
So,
of a Dalek again, looking
We get
at
the
her.
perspective of a Dalek. Yeah, she's like, "No, I watched you die." The controller Minority Report lady gives them some coordinates, and instead of just not saying what she's up to or anything, she defies the Daleks.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, "I'm going to defy you, Masters," and they kill her, or they zap her somewhere else.
zap
but
her,
they like
too.
zap her away. Yeah, weird character design on the
Her off of the machine.
escaped controller.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
strange.
It's creepy. Well, I think it's just because she's never seen light before, so she is Minority Report lady, and then you can see like all the holes and stuff in her.
Yeah, she's got holes.
Ooh,
and pipes
it's
and shit.
creepy.
Yeah.
Oh, my masters. You can kill me, for I've brought your destruction.
She tells the Daleks, because they've zapped her over to the Dalek ship now, and she goes, "You kill me because I have brought your destruction." So kind of a badass line.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Then they kill her.
I do like that you can see them in the reflection too. So it's like one of those like we're not going to show them quite yet, we know you.
Oh, I
probably...
don't know if I even noticed that. I just thought that they were there. I just
so it
assumed
was
that...
like
oh,
here's
okay,
the
'cause they are in
eyeball, and then there's the reflection, and then you hear the zaps. You know the zap sound, and
Captain Jack flirts with the control dude.
Yep. Yeah.
He just cannot help himself.
He really can't.
And then it comes back to someone. So the doctor says someone has been playing the long game, and I didn't know if that was a reference to the
long
episode,
game.
The long game.
Yeah, I think so.
Because he says the same thing about the butthole monster, but I then kind of wondered if the butthole monster was working for...
I wonder too. I bet he was. I bet the butthole monster
Daleks.
was working for the Daleks, because they said hundreds of years, not just 100.
Simon Pegg said something about it being a bank and a bunch of stuff, so it could have just been Bad Wolf Corporation.
I think it was.
It's a hell of an analogy if you're comparing the Daleks to, like, a corporation running a shady television and being in control of the information and stuff.
Oh, yeah. But that's exactly what they're doing.
I'll give Davies that, because I could see that being in his writing, but, like, it's an up there analogy to be making here, being like these fascist squid creatures that want to kill everything are controlling the human race. You know.
Yeah. No.
Just saying.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just saying, Rachel and I are allowed to broadcast our thoughts and opinions on the internet.
We are. We're not being controlled by Daleks.
As far as we know.
I mean, if we are, they're doing a hell of a job making it so I don't know that.
They are. If they are, they really need to give us a raise. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, that would be great. Can you do that? Thank you.
Yeah. I'll shill your stupid Dalek shit.
All hell the Daleks. Exterminate.
Bronzer, I assume, and some sort of
great
like
dresses,
anti-seafood
plungers
or something. Plungers, definitely.
Anti-seafood. Down with calamari.
They've been hiding at the edge of the solar system, and that's when we get the Dalek Empire. Cue the epic score for the Daleks.
I love theirs.
I like this.
Theirs is great.
I like their theme.
It's great.
It's good.
They look like absolute aliens, though, in like the picture, because they have all these flying saucers.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of flying saucers. Like, I kind of wonder if this would have been like the first time you would see like a Dalek ships like this, though, because in the 70s, 80s, 60s,
oh, potentially,
it would have been
yeah.
like, no, we're not.
Oh, they would have had. They could have had like the little
strings.
ones hanging on the strings. It would have been funny.
I'm sure. Jack knows the ships, and he's like, "No, these can't be. These things don't exist anymore." I don't know how all of these time travelers can be like, "These things don't exist anymore," when it's like, but time travel is the thing. So, when was the time war? Was it in the past of this?
It's kind of like it's out of time.
Yeah.
It's
so,
like it always was and always has been type of thing, and then
right.
It's like always going on, but
it's
it's not. It's like
you'd
finished.
Go cross-eyed because
I think you're gonna just go cross-eyed. Yeah.
Shouldn't only the Doctor remember the Daleks? Why does Jack know the Daleks? And then
I think they're the legend. I think it's all that
Daleks.
stuff again, where it's like it wasn't before time; it was during time, and they became like legends because. So the Doctor himself and his people are also a legend. They're not around either.
I guess that's true too, because the tree lady knew what he was.
Because this was all during the Time War, which
right.
wasn't just between.
Oh, I just assumed it was between the Daleks,
the Time Lords, and the Daleks. I think there were other things probably a part of it, but I think it was mostly them fighting.
So we are back on the Dalek ship, and they go, "The Doctor has located us." And they tell Rose to stand up, and they're like, open a communication
we have your woman.
to the Doctor. Yeah, it's an Outlander. We have your woman, Doctor. That's exactly what they're doing.
It is truly what it is.
They tell the Doctor to obey, or Rose will die, and the Doctor's like, no. And the Doctor gets like a little like if I Am the Doctor score existed at this time, it would have started going
yeah, because he gets this is mean angry Doctor though. Like this is I'm gonna kick your ass Doctor.
He's still
I will kill your entire race Doctor though.
Yeah, I mean he's still doing Bugs Bunny, but he's not as foaming at the mouth as he was in Dalek. But yes, he tells them that...
He just said, he's like, I'm going to wipe every single last stinking Dalek out of the sky. He's like,
All right,
I want to cause genocide once again to your people.
Yes, apparently my first genocide didn't take, so I'm going to go for it again. And they're like, you don't have a plan. And he's like, you're right, I don't have a plan. And doesn't that just fucking terrify you? You're scared shitless. Your little Dalek squid shit is coming out, isn't it?
That's right.
You're pissing your pants. And so he's like, I'm coming to get you.
To Rose.
And the Daleks are like, fine, we're going to invade the Earth, and we're going to exterminate the Doctor. And then there's like a ton of Daleks. So there's just a million Daleks.
Exterminate.
Yeah,
Exterminate. Yeah, because all of the humans were turned into Daleks.
Yeah, basically. And that is the end of Bad Wolf. So it ends on this cliffhanger, which they do not show enough. They don't really like spoil anything either in the
surprisingly, because they always spoil everything.
I was happy about that. Yeah, I mean, there's not like, what are you going to spoil? I suppose because of what happens like in the next.
It just looks like a war is about to go down.
Right, and you assume that, so like it works in that regard. So Rachel, my thoughts on Bad Wolf. The premise itself is extremely hokey, with the reality TV stuff and the poking fun at the reality TV and everything like that. But I get the analogy. I get what they're going for.
I like it.
And as we talked about with the way that it reveals itself with the Daleks and everything, like I think it actually makes the analogy stronger for me after discussing it, because I was like, this stupid reality TV thing, it's like so Russell Davies, like, okay, now we're poking fun at modern day, and that was a little annoying, and it still is, but the analogy itself of like the Daleks being in charge and manipulating humans for hundreds of years, and basically letting the Doctor take out the butthole monster so that they could actually then put their stuff in charge. Yeah.
It like actually, they're like, okay, you know what? That's fine. This is actually going to help us.
Yeah. I like that because they laid low. They let the Doctor do what and knowing that the Doctor is just going to leave.
Right.
Then they're able to like put their own thing in. And like, what are the chances that the TARDIS is going to come back? So
exactly.
That's actually really good. That it's a good plan by the Daleks, and it exposes
and they're geniuses. They should have good plans. They should expose those weaknesses and everything, right, in the human race and stuff like that. They hate the human race,
right?
Well, they hate every other race besides Dalek, but still.
And we'll talk about in the next episode if I think that the Doctor learns from that fact that like, okay, my weakness is that I just think I solve a problem, but I don't actually see it through. And if he sees it through or not, I can make an argument both sides. But we'll talk about that after the break.
Sure.
But overall, I thought it had a very strong ending with the Daleks, and I thought it was a good cliffhanger. It's just kind of hokey because of the reality TV very, very much putting it into 2005.
Yes.
But that's fine. It can be of its time. It doesn't need to be timeless.
No, it doesn't, because now it's, it's Doctor Who.
It's Doctor Who, so now it's like part of it all. But some of the references, obviously, people would, like, we had to explain who Anne Robinson is. We didn't even remember what Not to Wear was.
That's the thing. Right.
So,
no, I did. You didn't.
I didn't. But right.
There's been a lot of those silly shows. So,
but this one was not bad. I thought that this one was a good episode. Definitely.
Right. I don't know if I have anything else to add. I like it. I think it's kind of fun. I feel like it's bringing a lot more. It did kind of put the stakes a little bit higher. It makes you like kind of go, oh my God, did they just kill Rose? And then it's like, oh my God, now the Daleks, like what is about to happen? This is going to be insane.
Sure. So
silly stuff, but like some really cool stuff too.
Which is Doctor Who in
exactly.
a nutshell. When we come back, we will get to the conclusion of Doctor Who Series 1. What will happen? Will the Daleks be destroyed? Is Rose in some sort of limbo? Will Linda take her place? Will Captain Jack find a robot to have sex with? He's gonna fuck the android. This and more when we return with the finale of Doctor Who. We'll be right back.
Will Doctor Who escape this time? Buy Wall's new shape Skyray with double flavors of raspberry and orange. And you get a free color picture card, one of a series showing Doctor Who and the Space Raiders battling with Daleks. Free when you buy Wall's new shape Skyray. Only £6.
You'd all love to see Christopher come back as the Doctor, right? See? Now, what would have to happen for that to become a reality?
Sack Russell T Davies, sack Jane Tranter, sack Phil Collinson, sack Julie Gardner, and I'll come back. So can you arrange that?
And we are back with the finale of Doctor Who Series 1. The Christopher Eccleston era is about to come to an end, Rachel. How do you feel?
Excited, sure. We're going to talk about it.
I was like half expecting you to be like, I'm fine.
Oh, well, I mean, I am fine. It is just he gets one season. That's it. I mean, he only wanted one season. It was his choice.
Do you think he regrets it or no?
No.
No?
No, I don't think he does, because I don't think he wanted to be, like, only the Doctor for, like, ever. I think that was kind of his deal. Like, no, I'll do it for a season.
My biggest issue with it all is that I feel like, especially in the second half, which the writing and everything is more established, but it felt like he was starting to really develop the character.
Yes.
And then he's just...
And then he's
spoiler alert, he's gone.
I agree. I kind of wish there was more episodes, at least half a season, or if not, just one more for him.
Something. Yeah, just a little more.
And because he wouldn't come back for any of the other stuff. I'll tell you that one. He wouldn't come back for like any of the ones where like, all the Doctors come together and everything. He didn't want to.
I feel like there's got to be a bit of a story there, or he just does not. He just does not want to be back as the Doctor. I don't know. There's something.
It does feel like there's probably like a story or something, but at the same time, I don't know. Maybe he just truly didn't want to get tied down into just Doctor Who, and only be known for Doctor Who. But
we have done the first 12 episodes. We are here to watch the final episode. It is a lot of build up here, I guess you would say. We've done a lot of talking about Doctor Who, hours and hours and oodles and hours worth of this first series, and it comes to a climax with this one. Rachel, are you ready to get into the parting of the ways? Which I kept wanting to say the parting of ways. That extra "the" is superfluous.
It is a little odd. I feel like it should just be the parting of ways.
Is that how the British would say it? Because we would just say the parting of ways. And the parting of the ways.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
I read in like the trivia for this episode that like David Tennant was also in some other show called The Parting of the Ways. The last show he was in, or the last episode, it was called The Parting of the Ways. Now the first one he was in is called The Parting of the Ways. So I was like, that's such a... No one says The Parting of the Ways. It's The Parting of Ways. It just does... It's strange. I also think that this episode should be called Bad Wolf, and the last one should be called Game Station or something. But that's my own opinion. I know why it's called The Parting of Ways. I'm not going to say that extra "the." It's too British.
We're not saying the extra "the." The "the" stays where it's supposed to be, not there.
All right. This episode, as the previous one, was written by Russell Davies, and it is directed by Gio Harain, which we expect because this is the second part of the Bad Wolf story arc, whatever you want to say. It's part 2.
Suppose.
Part 2! Here on Shelf Life. Even though it's like the 6th part that we're doing of Doctor Who, according to the title of this episode.
Yeah.
The episode begins right where it leaves off. The Daleks are asking Rose to predict what the Doctor is going to do, which I think is funny. And she's like, I don't know. Why would I know that? And it's like, yeah, Daleks, you're supposed to be like this genius race of slugs. Why would she know that? This seems like an odd thing.
Because she works with him, so they usually can work together on things. So I guess that's kind of what they're thinking is like, well, you should know him. You work with him. Like, what is he going to do next?
The effect that it gives is that it makes it feel like the Daleks are desperate.
I think they are.
They're afraid, and they're trying to figure out what the Doctor's going to do, and the only leverage that they have is Rose.
Her. Mm-hmm.
They fire some rockets at the TARDIS in a big CGI fest, and they collide, and there's an explosion between the rockets and the TARDIS, and it looks like it explodes and blows up the TARDIS. Of course, this is a ruse by the Doctor. They, like, whooshed through space-time as the explosion happens. They, in fact, used a force field to stop it from blowing up.
That's right.
They use force fields a lot in this, and I think it's a lot of Jack's technology.
Well, the TARDIS itself has its own force field.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Have we seen that before? I don't think we have. I think this would be the first time we've seen that.
I don't think we have. But I do feel like the TARDIS does have its own force field. There's instances where it's, like, used after this, too.
Okay.
Because it kind of protects itself. It's a living thing, so it kind of protects itself.
Right. I mean, that would make sense for it to have some sort of defense mechanism. But it does seem overpowered.
Of course. Well, the TARDIS is overpowered, yes.
In particular, this episode.
The TARDIS is always overpowered.
They land in the Dalek spaceship, and they whoosh out of... They don't whoosh out of the Dalek spaceship, but they whoosh in, or I guess because of where they land... They take with them a Dalek and Rose into the TARDIS.
Yeah, it's kind of like they're forming around them. They're like...
Yeah, exactly.
They're coming in around those two.
They tell Rose to duck, and then Jack shoots the Dalek with that big-ass gun and, like, blows it up. Yes. I can't remember if it makes a sound or not. I think it does.
Like an E.T. yell?
Yes, it's like an E.T. yell.
I like it.
Don't talk about E.T.
Maybe they love
that
E.T.
little bastard.
Oh, you think they hate them? Oh, you think they, like, came after them at one point? The Daleks versus...
No, the Daleks would not like the E.T.s because they're all, like, scientists and about nature and stuff.
That's true.
There's no way.
The Daleks would exterminate.
Enemies.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
You think that's what happened to all
I'm
of
wondering.
the ETs?
Maybe that's why they're on, like, a spaceship. They're not just, exploring. They're actually trying to find a new home because the Daleks destroyed their old home.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Shrek was the worst of them. Planting trees.
Ugh, bastard.
They all hug. So Rose hugs Jack, and Rose hugs the Doctor, saying, she never doubted that they'd come and get him. And I think that Jack says, I did. he did not think that they would be able to do it. The Doctor examines the Dalek, and Jack explains that gun was a one-shot. So, because you can't apparently... There's a lot of convenience in this episode. Like, a lot of convenience in this episode.
Yeah, it does kind of feel that way a little bit.
This is like the first, like, foreshadowing that, like, folks, you're just gonna have to get on board because a lot of stuff's gonna happen because it needs to in this one. And stuff like that where it's like, nope, that gun was a one-shot. That's all I had. They never mentioned that in the last episode, but it was only used as an intimidation tool.
Right. And I think it was more so against the humans to stop them from messing with them. The gun itself, I guess, like, all he did was he probably, like, turned it up to 11 and was just like, okay, hopefully this will actually get through the armor of the Dalek. And now it's like, okay, well, drained that gun. Moving on.
The Daleks are all waiting outside the TARDIS because the Doctor's just parked the thing inside
their ship,
the Dalek ship, and the Daleks are afraid of that of the Doctor, so they're just kind of waiting for the next move.
Right.
Jack says that these Daleks used to be a huge threat, but then they disappeared, which goes back to our discussion that we were talking about in the last half of the episode where we were like, how do the Daleks exist but not exist at the same time? And they're like a myth because it all happens simultaneously through space-time and da-da-da-da-da.
Because this is where Captain Jack calls it, like, wasn't that just a legend? Like, it's just a legend that there was this time war between the Daleks and the Time Lords. Mm-hmm. So they all know the legend. It was already passed down.
They all know about the Time War, yeah. They're past it. And I can't remember what century Jack is from. I thought the Doctor says, like, the 151st
something ridiculous. I don't remember.
and I can't do my math on it. It feels like he's from after this era, the year 200,000, but I'm not positive.
Oh yeah, he's the 51st century.
51st century. So he'd be way before this then. Because that'd be like the year 5,000
Yeah,
or
this
6,000.
is, yeah, it says like 5,000. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so and this is the year 200,000. So this is way in the future from... So even back when Jack's time, they were a legend at that point.
Right.
The Doctor says that the Time Lords then died for nothing because here are the Daleks. Like, if his entire race then died and it didn't matter because the Daleks were able to come back.
Exactly. All of them
And
were
the
supposed to have died, not just, you know.
The Doctor goes out and says, well, let's go talk to them. And it makes sense because the Doctor knows that they're not going to be able to actually shoot them. So his plan is like, well, let's go figure out how they got here. I think he's trying to find information. This is like an information mission.
Exactly.
They immediately fire on him, but nothing hits them because they have the force field surrounding them. I think the Doctor says it can stop anything, and then Jack says it can stop almost anything.
It's all right. Come on out. That force field can hold back anything.
Almost anything.
Yes, but I wasn't going to tell him that. Thanks.
Sorry.
And the Doctor's like, I did not want them to know that, but okay.
Because now they'll try other things.
The Doctor goes into a speech about how he's like, do you know who I am? Because he's assuming like all of these are new Daleks too,
right?
So he's like, do you know who I am? I'm the legend. He's kind of being like, I'm the boogeyman to the Daleks.
He's a bit of, he's kind of being like pompous. He's like, you should know that I'm the one who killed all of you. I'm the oncoming storm. I am like the
calls
destructor.
himself the. They say that he says that the Daleks call him the oncoming storm. He's basically a conspiracy theory. Like there's message boards on the Dalek internet where they're talk about the oncoming storm, talking about the end of times, and it's about the Doctor.
Right.
Folks are Daleks at home. I will tell you right now. One day their damn Doctor's gonna come back. It sound like RFK. So I guess when you mix Alex Jones with a Dalek, you get RFK.
Got a little weird.
He's going to murder us all. The oncoming storm. Yeah, he's a conspiracy answer for the Daleks.
Yeah, it makes sense. And he's actually a true conspiracy.
Well, I mean, the first episode, he was a conspiracy, so it only makes sense that it kind of comes back here.
That's also true. I like it. Full circle.
He asks them how they were able to survive the Time War, and there's this very deep Dalek voice that says, they survived through me. And it's the Emperor of the Daleks, this giant squid.
They survived through me.
Or starfish, whatever.
Yeah, they're kind of like a mix. I like that. Like a squidfish, squid.
Rachel, do you know? Because I was looking through the wiki and I couldn't quite tell because like it has listed out like all the radio plays and comic books and stuff that this thing has been in. Is this the first time that this thing's like shown up?
I don't know.
The Emperor of the Daleks.
I don't know. I'm not actually sure
if
it is.
It felt like it could have been something that was from the past, but it also felt like something that was like, oh, we're gonna make a leader for the Daleks.
Yeah, besides
now.
it's like creator, they actually have like a leader, right? My assumption is there may have been like a leader like this, like the Emperor, and this is where he becomes like corrupt and broken, but it's hard to tell.
In the previous episode when they did that, like, next time on Doctor Who, they do this, they survived through me line. And I thought that there was a chance that it would have been that Davros, the Onion Knight, would have been the they survived through me guy. So then we were going to get, like, the big bad, and it wouldn't have just been another Dalek. It's fine that there's an Emperor of the Daleks. I just was like, oh, I wonder if there's going to be, like, a mastermind type character.
Right. Well, I think
the Emperor is the mastermind.
Exactly. I'm thinking. I think that this guy must have been around before, so it did have that impact for people in that knew of the old stories.
It is a little bit Star Warsian that there's now this Emperor, but he says the Emperor of the Daleks says that his ship fell through time and he was crippled, but he survived. So he would have been the Emperor of the Daleks during the Time War then.
Yes, right.
So we're getting this backstory that he was the Emperor of the Daleks for the Time War. So
Right,
he was
exactly.
there during that
During the
time.
genocide. During the wars, yeah.
Very much like Emperor Palpatine. I would have preferred if this Dalek had on a big black cloak.
Just over it, like a hood that he pulls down over his, like, eye, the blue dot.
Yeah, strike me down now.
It's like, why are you wearing a hood over
they
your
kind of have
armor?
the same. They have a very similar voice, the Emperor and
It's
the
true.
Daleks.
You give a character a deeper voice and just make them a little larger than life. They work as an emperor.
The Dalek voice I have always found unsettling and a bit annoying. The Emperor Dalek voice, though, I like it as a bad guy voice. It works better with the deeper register.
Because it's got that gravel to it. And then,
Yeah,
so,
and
like, because they all have that gravel, the deeper it is, the easier it is on, I think, on your ears.
Yeah, exactly. The high-pitched 1960s
More-
British television squeal that the Daleks have is very, bothersome.
I think it's because it's mechanical. I think it's how that, like, mechanical sounding.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So they're asking the Doctor not to talk. They're like, silence!
Yeah,
to
like,
the
don't
Doctor,
talk
and he's
over
like-
him, like, because they,
Yeah.
you know.
And the Doctor's like, I'm the Doctor. If there's one thing I can do, it's talk. And don't I know it after 13 episodes of this bullshit.
And so
The
much
Emperor-
more.
And so many more! Endless Doctor Who! They waited out. The Emperor says that they waited in dark space and rebuilt. And they were able to do so by infiltrating the systems of Earth. They created Daleks out of dead humans. So they would grave rob.
Yeah.
And then they would take little bits. I guess he started it. And then, like, as he built up the fleet, then became like a thing.
Right.
They created Daleks out of the dead humans by peeling pieces of them and creating Daleks out
Like
of them.
splicing
so now
them.
Yeah. So, like, most of these Daleks, except for the Emperor, are a bunch of human hybrids of
Right.
Daleks, which is why I ask you if they're
Yeah.
taking the people that lose in the reality TV shows, killing them and splicing them in to make more Daleks.
And I say absolutely. It makes sense that that's what they're doing. Because that's why they probably started the TV show the way they did, just so they could, you know, pretty much bring the lambs to slaughter.
They try to pass it off by saying that they're not really humans. We're just taking, like, atoms of the humans, okay? We're not taking, like, the whole... It's like a... I don't know what it's like, but it's like,
Well, because it would...
somebody that gets plastic surgery
Yeah.
but denies that they got plastic surgery. They're just like, no, it was not a nose job. I have bad sinuses. I had
Right.
to get this nose job. Like, that's how they're, you know, justifying it. We aren't really humans. It's not plastic. They're still real. You can touch them.
Oh my God.
That's the idea.
Well, because otherwise it's against what they believe. They're not
Yes,
perfect
exactly.
anymore. The Daleks are perfect. Well, if you're
And
combined with
that-
any other species, you're no longer perfect.
That episode, the earlier episode, Dalek, where he is only able to, like, escape because he bonds with Rose, he realizes that he's part human and is like, well, you might as well fucking kill me then. So it makes sense that now they're, like, hypocrites, which is also part of the analogy, because they're using something that they claim to hate, but it's how they've been able
surviving.
to survive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
They all are shouting that this is all blasphemy because I think Rose says that means that you're part human, and they're like, blasphemy, blasphemer! And the Emperor's like, I cultivated pure Daleks, and just an interesting turn of phrase for this squid creature. And the Doctor says...
And humans have been purged from their DNA.
Yes. He is claiming... It's like Voldemort and shit. It's like they're claiming that they have, like, pure blood, that they've been able to get rid of... We just use the humans. We don't really have the human DNA.
It's
you know,
not
it's
a
all
part
bullshit.
of us. Well, because he's in charge, so whatever he says, they're all going to listen to him anyways. It's like, oh, yeah, so we only used it. We didn't actually make it a part of us. It's just was used to create, you know?
Yeah, it's such full of shit, genetics, you know, that eugenic fascism type stuff.
But it's also interesting that they have an idea of blaspheming and like God-like characters. I think his whole point is like, well, you took stuff from the humans. You're acting kind of like a human.
Yeah. And the doctor says, like, since when would you have blasphemy? And the Emperor goes, I've created life. I created life. I am God of the Daleks. And they are all like, worship him. And this, this is when the Doctor, too, is like, okay, you've all... So they must be insane for Daleks, because the Doctor's like, you're all insane. Like, it's driven them mad.
Right.
Because they're basically in a cult.
Yeah, they're basically a cult of Daleks at this point.
And he tells the Daleks that they stink of humanity because they've gone insane, and that they must hate their own existence. But they, like, can't do anything else but try to be the only thing in existence. So they must be very confused, these poor Daleks.
Oh, so confused.
I hate myself. The Doctor and team walk back into the TARDIS as the Daleks shout at them and they shoot at them. They whoosh back to the satellite and they ask for transmitters to be put at full power. And Linda's still there, and the Doctor's like, Linda, I thought I told you to leave. And she's like, well, you know, I want to like, help you or whatever. And Rose, this is where this stuff leads to nothing.
Yeah.
Rose looks at her with, like, this knowing moment, and, like, you expect her to be like, who's that? Like, who is this person? Why do you know this person? Why is she, like, flirting with the Doctor? But she never does. It's just there in the background for you, which is fine. I don't mind having things like that in the background, but typically it should go somewhere.
You'd expect it to, but I'm also just wondering if she's kind of seeing herself in this other character, too, where it's, like... How the Doctor just kind of and like the Doctor just kind of picks up these strays.
Yeah, that could be interesting too, and I like where your head is at, but I don't know if that goes anywhere either.
Like, no, I mean not at least at this episode. Okay. I would say it doesn't really feel like it does.
Because I could see that being part of it, where in a few minutes the Doctor sends Rose back to London in her time. And I could see that being a conflict for her then, where it's like he's just gonna go pick up someone else. Like if that would have gone through her head, that
sure. I mean, he's picking up this stray who wants to help and be a part of this, and then like spoiler for later, he sends her home. He sends her home and won't let her help. So now she's like, well, this other person gets to help. It's her choice. Why can't I have that choice to stay and help? Maybe that's a part of what's going on too.
Yeah, but the way that they explore Rose's feelings in this, and I watched it once, and then our schedule got flipped around, so then I watched it again to be able to record today.
Sure.
And both times I watched it, I wasn't fully on board with Rose's reaction to everything when she gets sent home. I understand what they want her to do, or want the feeling to be. But it also was like, I feel like we're giving it a lot more depth than they did. And I think that it would have been nice to have a little bit more depth. The way that it comes off is she just comes off bratty, like I don't know. We'll get to it.
I didn't want to go home. I wanted to stay. Yeah, kind of stuff. Yeah, we'll get there. We're not quite there yet. We're not at a desperate state at this point.
There's a bunch of people on the bottom floor because they've all gone down there when the Doctor took over. They've been, like, evacuated down there or something. The one guy that won the weakest link, Roderick, wants his money. He's like, where the hell is my money? In the meantime, the Dalek fleet is on their way toward Earth. They're going to burn the Earth down and raise it, and they're going to make it a home for the Daleks.
Mm-hmm.
On the 500th floor of the satellite, the Doctor is going nuts. He's busting pipes and wires and shit, and he's pulling stuff all out, and he explains to Jack what he's going to do, and Jack's like, don't tell me, and Doctor's like, that's right, a delta wave, and they both high-five and dance around in a circle.
It is very silly.
They're
dynamic.
I mean, Jack explains what a delta wave is for the audience. It will fry your brain, and they could wipe out the Daleks with a delta wave. They don't tell the rest of the satellite that it will wipe out everything it touches. So
it's
they're
not
all
just
gonna
the
die as
Daleks.
well.
It's literally everything in the radius of it being blown off, whatever the word is.
So the Doctor's planning on committing his second genocide.
Of
He
course.
says that it will take 3 days to do so.
And he only has, 20 minutes or something stupid?
They have 22 minutes. That's right.
Yeah.
Probably real time for what we see. He continues to go nuts. Jack makes a force field so they can't blow up the satellite, but that's not going to stop them from invading the satellite. So they're going to go to their plan B, which is this is what Jack assumes, that they're going to hop on board and they're going to try to take out the Doctor. And they're going to fight their way up. Rose is helping the Doctor, and the rest are prepping for an invasion. Linda with a Y thanks the Doctor, and then there's another awkward exchange where they almost kiss. Like, it's clearly like like that. It's a Hugh Grant
It was
moment.
very silly. I'm wondering if they were gonna hug, but was like, is it too soon to hug? Moment.
It's that I love hugging. I'm a big hug slut. We found out that he was a hug slut like a year ago in Shelf Life time.
It's true.
Rose notes it again, and I just don't know what this is.
I guess it's just that jealousy of, it's her doctor.
And or is it part of the you know someone's leaving the show, what's going to happen at the end?
Right.
Could
so
Rose
you think it's just for us more so?
It feels like it's got to be, because it feels like they just put that in there, and I like where your head was at by making her have to go through the thought process of how many of these companions has he had? And am I just like another one, and he's just going to send me back now, and now he's like abandoned me. Like, she never has that moment, and I think that if she would have had that moment, had a moment with Jackie, gained the confidence back, she's just back there going, this sucks. I can't die with the Doctor. I have to fucking eat at this stupid shawarma place with my stupid mom and stupid boyfriend. Like, that's the attitude that she had versus
kind of
a little more substance. Anyway, Jack says, this is goodbye. And Rose is like, don't say that. He grabs her and I wrote down he grabs her face, which he does do. He does
like the hold the cheeks moment.
Yes, it feels very Jack to do that.
It does.
And tells Rose that she's worth fighting for and kisses her. And then he turns to the Doctor and says,
and does the same thing.
He wishes he never met the Doctor. He would have been better off as a coward. And he kisses him too.
Which feels like a very Jack thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Everything he does here is very Jack.
This has to have been the first same-sex kiss on Doctor Who, I assume, since this is the first episode in 25
100%
years.
assume. I think there was one of the old doctors says there's too much snogging in the new version for his liking, but it's like...
Yeah, well, he's got to be 75 years old. So.
He was very old.
Man.
I think it was the third Doctor sent that. The fourth one just thinks it's funny.
There's so much gay stuff in this new one. It's so silly. It's cheeky.
So cheeky.
The way that they shoot it, they like hedge their bets too, because it's not full on like the Jack Rose kiss, but you can tell that it's a kiss. It's not like from behind where they could have faked it. It's like a real thing. Like you can tell it's real.
It's like a good peck on the
it's a lip
right there.
Yeah, no, it's a big lip kiss. Do you think
yeah.
that this proves that they were having some orgies in the TARDIS right
No, because Rose's reaction was just like, "Oh, he kissed me." So it wasn't like that was that happened before. That was the first time.
All right, fine. Don't play along with my.
The Doctor, on the other hand, it's probably happened many times. Yeah. Oh yeah,
I'm worth it. I do like that as Jack leaves, he goes, "I'll see you all in hell," and leaves the room. And Rose goes, "He'll be all right, won't he?" Jack rallies the humans on board to fight, and none of them want to.
Of course not. None of them really want to be there anyways. They were all forced to be there.
That's true. Most of them are forced to be there. Even the security guards at this point have...
Everybody who worked there
Jack
must
is
have
telling
been...
them that you're working for the Daleks and stuff.
Yeah.
The weakest link guy's like, don't listen to his trash. The Daleks disappeared years ago. Again, Rachel, I'm like, okay, so we're in a timeline where the Daleks are known to humans, which, fine, that makes sense, because it's the way, way future. But they also think that the Daleks are a myth, and that they don't really exist. It's odd. But you have to put yourself in, like, how far into the future you really are.
Right. So it's a legend, and maybe the Daleks have also put into the stories that they were actually real, because they were in charge, so they had
true, they could make up their own myths.
The stories.
Sure,
right,
all right, that's fair.
So they probably made themselves sound stronger too,
right?
Like,
right.
But we're not a threat though.
Jack tells them that they're going to come for the Doctor, and that if they don't want to fight, keep quiet, and if you hear us dying, then tell me that the Daleks aren't real. He gets very self-righteous about the Daleks.
Oh, yeah.
A small group of them go to fight with Jack, and they kind of, like, go up the elevator in their badassery. As badass as you can get with Doctor Who, I suppose. Rose and the Doctor are preparing to fight, or they're prepping quietly. Mm-hmm. And Rose asks about going back in time. Like, why can't we just go back, like, a week ago and warn them? And the Doctor's like, well, times you can't leave. And Rose is like, yeah, I figured. No, he gives an explanation, but it is
an explanation.
It's timeline who's a fudge, Rachel. He says,
where once he's a part of a story, he has to stay in that part of the story. He can't go back.
He says once the TARDIS lands in part of a timeline, he's stuck in that timeline. That the TARDIS changes the timeline, so you can't go back there. It's the Doc Brown thing where it's like, we could go back to this state, but it creates an alternate universe, and now we're on this timeline.
To quote a future Doctor, it's wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff. That's what it is.
Is that the crazy next one, or
yes.
Okay, the Dragon Lord. Okay, it's the next one.
The Dragon Lord.
You go from
I don't even
Bugs
think about
Bunny.
No. Dragon Lord is after.
I know. That's what I'm saying. You go Bugs Bunny, psychotic, Dragon Lord, bear racist. David Tennant seems like a psychotic. In the last shot of this episode, part of it is because I know him as Barty Crouch.
I was going to say, you're just thinking of Barty Crouch because he's wearing like a leather jacket. Like, come on.
All right. Rachel confirmed
the Purple Man from Jessica Jones.
All right, Purple Man, you're right. That's fine. You go from Bugs Bunny to the Purple Man to the Dragon Lord to the bear racist. That's the path that we're on with these doctors.
Perfect.
They're stuck there. They can't do anything about it. And the doctor says they could just leave. And the doctor's like, we don't have to save them. This is the year 200,000. They had a good run. Who fucking cares? Let the Daleks take the Earth. Mm-hmm. We could go back to 1987 and just live our lives. And that goes back to him saying he just wants to have a quiet life, but that's not his duty.
He can't.
He can't.
He's compelled.
Do that. Right.
He's compelled to fix and make things better.
Rose is like, you wouldn't do that. Like, that's not who you are. And the doctor says, but you could ask me if you would do that. And she's like, I'm not gonna. I won't do that either.
She wouldn't do that. It's
not
in her nature to do it.
She says I'm too good for that, which like she is jokingly doing, like saying I'm too good for it, but at the same time, like it's almost like they're writing out their character for you a little bit there with that dialogue.
Sure.
The wave is starting, and the doctor goes and looks at some readings, and he looks upset about the findings, and he suddenly turns and he goes, Rose, you're a genius. We can use the TARDIS. And he like runs over to it, and she runs over, and they run into the TARDIS, and he's like, hold on to this, and asks her to hold on to part of the TARDIS wheel thing, and leaves, and he's like, I have to power on the game station. And he stands and turns back to like when he read the readings. Very
dramatically.
Yeah. And he turns back to the TARDIS door, and the score drops.
Mm-hmm.
And Rose is waiting. She's like, Doctor, you gonna
like,
do something?
Do I keep holding this?
And the doctor uses the screwdriver to power the TARDIS and keep her locked in, and sends Rose home. The score here was very good. This part of sending Rose home, I thought was very good. And he must have just read that like in whatever findings that he did, like, there was no way for them to escape and or get rid of the Daleks. So he's planning to die with the Daleks. Like, he planned to die with the Daleks
because there wasn't enough
before.
time. Yeah, he didn't have enough time to set it up for only the Daleks. Everybody's going to die. He just knows it now.
Death follows the Doctor, and now everyone dies. The Doctor sets up an Obi-Wan Kenobi message for... Or I guess, or Princess Leia message, I suppose. Help me, Rose Tyler. You're my only hope. He tells Rose that he's going to die. And he goes, that's all right. It's fine. I hope it's a good death.
He's old. He's lived for a very long time. Many lives. That's his point.
So, Rachel, question about the regeneration thing. Does he have to be able to regenerate? Like, if you go up and you shoot the Doctor in the back of the head and he's not ready to regenerate, that's it?
Yep.
Okay, got it.
Wait, well, okay, so are you talking about, like, in the middle of a regeneration? So, like, you already killed him, technically. So something happened to the Doctor that's killed him.
Mm.
Like, something is
so, like, this Delta Wave's gonna blow him away.
And he has to regenerate.
Yeah.
Right? If he doesn't have the ability to regenerate, like, if he doesn't have the time or the place to do that, yeah, he's dead. He's gone.
Okay.
That's it.
At least that is there to give some stakes to... the fact that he could die if he does not have the ability to sit and do the regeneration potion or spell or whatever the hell it is. I think it's a spell. I think they're wizards, these fucking Gallifreys.
I think it's just a part of their body. Like, think like an axolotl regrowing a limb. It's just like that.
All right. That's a hell of an analogy.
They can regrow their brains. It's kind of neat. Anyways.
You think that we would try to find a way to use that for
They
human
are.
use? Oh, okay. It's like the old sharks with the Alzheimer's in Deep Blue Sea, you know? They can't get Alzheimer's.
And then they make them geniuses, and then the sharks retaliate and try to kill all humans.
On the list.
I think so. I think it kind of has to be.
She's like, no, you can't go. You can't leave me. And he goes, typical. You're fussing and moaning. So he knew what she would do, knows. So he just put it in there because he knew that she was going to do that. And he tells her, like, you can't let anybody get to the TARDIS. You have to just let it die. Just park it somewhere in London. Just let it sit, and people won't think anything of it. It'll just blend in, and it'll just sit there. No one will notice. Just let it stay on the corner. And then he tells her, have a good life. Have a fantastic life.
Yeah, that part hits. I feel like that part hits a little bit.
That did hit well. That did hit well. The way that he delivers that.
He, like, turns and, like, stares at you.
Yes. The sincerity in which he says that, I did think was very good. She's pissed and wants to go back, but she can't. And she exits in dreary-ass, shitty-ass, dip-ass, dumb-ass looking London. They made London look so shitty when she exits that door. They made it look like just the drizzling shits, because that's what it looks like most of the time anyway, because it just rains there. They definitely
put like this is just dreary London. This is where you are now. This is what you live through. Instead of bright, colorful life on the TARDIS, it becomes dreary.
She can't get the TARDIS to do anything, which why would it? She doesn't know how to use this thing. She never got taught by the Doctor how to use the TARDIS.
Right.
Would have been my first question. Okay, how do I use this thing?
You don't. This is my machine.
Mickey comes running because there's the hard whoosh. He looks different, and I can't tell why. I'm just wondering if his facial hair is slightly different than previous episodes or something. And maybe I'm just completely...
Yeah, he might actually have some stubble,
like,
and
there
that
might
may
be
have done
something a little different. There might be nothing different. I might just be insane. But Mickey runs up and is like, you're bad.
We don't know how long she was gone. Maybe
True.
He has changed a little bit. You know, lost a little weight, gained some muscle. He's scruffy now.
He's been dating Trisha Delaney. That girl's going to fatten his ass up, so...
She used to be fat. She's not anymore. How dare you?
It is a little crazy because we have to listen to ourselves talk all the time. The amount of information that you retain for the Shelf Life episodes. Because why the fuck do I remember Trisha Delaney? Jack tells Rose to give her the codes, and the Doctor's like, well, she's not here. She's not coming back. And he figures out that the Doctor sent her home, and he's like...
Which he knows what that means.
Yeah. And the Dalek Emperor interrupts them because he's like, Why don't you tell him the truth, Doctor? You're going to murder us all. He's saying that the wave can be done, but it can't be refined, so it's just going to kill everything.
Right.
So that's
because the Daleks knew what he was doing. They figured it out too.
They figured out. Well, even Jack is like, they're going to figure out what we're doing, but
exactly.
The Doctor was hoping that he'd be able to refine the Delta Wave so that it didn't kill them all. They can't get to that point, so I got to send Rose home. The Dalek goes, if I'm God, what does that make you? Because he's saying, like, I created all of this life.
Right there.
You're going to kill it all. Well, he's trying...
Also God? Because isn't that just a spiteful...
Also God? He's trying to convince the Doctor not to go through with it so that he can find a new way out of this or save the Daleks, because...
Oh, yeah, he's actually trying to guilt him. Like, are you sure you want to do this again? Like,
right. Yeah,
I know
exactly.
you did it in the past.
Yeah,
and
you
you
did
must
this once.
feel bad about it.
Yeah.
But now you're going to kill all your precious humans, too.
The Doctor says that there's colonies of humans across the galaxies by this point, even though he didn't know that they were taken over. Like he's just making that assumption. Like, he thinks that there's gotta be
Well, if they're
colonies.
in space, if they're in this Satellite 5, he's assuming that they've also gone out and explored.
Right.
So, I think that's his point.
He tells Jack, like, this is our choice, Jack. We either die as a human or live as a Dalek, because the Daleks will turn everyone into Daleks or use all their bodies as Daleks. And he's like, he's kind of telling Jack, like, almost as if they had a conversation that we weren't privy to, which, like, might have been nice, because it almost felt like an answer to a situation where Jack is like, why do you do this? You know what I'm saying? Like, it almost felt like Jack at some point asked the Doctor, like, can I ask you a question? Why do you go through all of this? Why do you help all of these things? And now, or like, how do you come up with all these plans? Or even Jack might have asked him, like, the legend is that you killed all the Time Lords. Like, you did, like, why did you do that? And now this is, like, almost the answer of him being like, this is why I had to do this, Jack. We either live as humans or we die as Dalek. Sure.
And I think there could have been that conversation, and that could have been part of it. I think he's also just trying to explain to him. He's like, I know you're going to die with me.
Yes.
And I'm trying to explain why and what I have to do, and I have to make this choice for everyone. And Jack's just like, you know what? I'm with you.
It's a good line, because the Dalek is like, he's going to exterminate you, and Jack says, I never doubted him. So it's kind of like he was going to kill me one day. The very Jack smarmy way of being like, I was either going to piss him off or we were going to get killed anyway. I like that line.
Jack already put himself in all those damned situations where he was about to die anyways. Yeah. It's like, this is fine.
Threesome with the executioners and all other sorts of stuff.
Exactly. He's already screwed his way through the galaxy. He's like, this is fine.
He's fine with it. I'm fine. This is fine. Jack is the dog drinking the tea in the fire, just going, this is fine.
This is fine.
The Doctor asks the Emperor, what is Bad Wolf about anyway? Like, where did that come from? The Doctor's like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I don't have anything to do with Bad Wolf. That wasn't me. Back in London, Rose, Mickey, and Jackie are eating fast food rotisserie chicken. And Rose is all upset about this. This is where she says she can't stop it. It's so far away, but it's happening now. It's happening right now, and he's dying.
Now.
Yes, this is
Not
very
then,
when will
now.
Yes, go ahead, Rachel. Just do
when
the
will
bit.
Then be now? Soon.
Thank you.
There you go.
Jackie says, I hate that man, but he did the right thing. He brought you back here. And Rose
that's
thinks
what he promised too. He said he would take care of her.
He promised Jackie that. Yeah. Rose thinks she can't just go back to her regular life because life sucks. So I think that it's supposed to be like, I've seen so much. I know that so much is going on.
There's
I
so
want
much bigger things
do
out there.
Bigger things. I can't just sit here.
Right.
She wants a better life. Mickey's like, dude.
True. It is a very selfish thing to be, like, the way she's saying
the way
all
that
of
it
this.
comes off.
Yes.
It's not supposed to. It's supposed to come off as selfless, like she wants to sacrifice herself for the greater good, like the Doctor would.
Right.
But it comes
off
off
very selfish,
differently.
and cocky, and And I think that's the way Mickey's like, hold up, wait, what you're saying is like ridiculous.
Maybe it's
intentional. Like, but that's not it. That's not a part of it. It's just
maybe it's intentional, because she does try to say like it's not about living a better life. It's about living your life a better way. And I think that's where she's like, you can go to these places, you can help people. I
think that's where they're trying to bring it to.
It kind of works. I don't think it fully works. But I think that we've kind of talked ourselves into it working. And I do think that if they would have added in some of that, he takes these companions all the time. He brought me home, almost like a depression about it. Here's what I would have preferred. Let me tell you what I would have preferred, then I'll let you go.
Go ahead.
If she would have came home and said, okay, now Linda's just going to take my place. He brought me home. He may die. I can't do anything about it. And like gone into a depression about it. Mm-hmm. And then Jackie's like, you can't sulk around forever or whatever. Like a week later, like a week passes. Mm-hmm. And then she does the story about Pete and meeting her dad. Yes. And then Jackie doesn't believe it. But then Jackie gives Rose this pep talk because she comes back in and is like, you know what? You're right. Your dad would have done it. Da, 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 da. You have to do it. I hate that man, the doctor, but I truly think that he's whatever. And then gives Rose the ability to be like, you're right, I have to find my way back. That could have been something.
It could have been something.
It could have given her a little agency. It could have given her a little bit of a bit more of an arc versus just like, I need to go back and I need to find a way back no matter what, because this life in London is awful. And I know that's not what they're trying to have it come off as.
It does have that feeling, but I do think it should have lasted longer than a day. Like, it feels like she's only been there for, like, a day. And I feel like it should have been a couple of days going by of her just, like, going, I can't be here. It feels like I'm running away from the fight. Because she says, everybody else just runs away, but you can stand up, you can fight, you can say no.
You're right, yes.
She does say that stuff, and that's when she has, like, her freak-out moment. So it's kind of like, but if that would have had a little bit more build up to her being like, this is ridiculous. Why can I just be here? This isn't where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be a part of that fight and to help the doctor. And that's where I think she gets to, but just way too quickly. And it's just a little convoluted.
And you are right. She does say that stuff. So I do think that is what they're going for. And I'm not giving it the full credit there, because she does go through with it and say, you can stand up, you can fight for what's right, you can do all this. Like, that's what she's learned from the doctor.
Yeah. It does come off still as a little selfish that she just wants to be with him and get to explore. It does come off that way.
Like, even further on, where she just tells Mickey, there's nothing for me here. And Mickey's like, are you fucking serious?
Your family's here, I'm here. Like, yeah. She just found a bigger purpose, I think, for herself.
She runs out because she says she can't just do nothing. She has to do something. In the meantime, Jack tells Linda to track the Daleks, so he sets her up in this room to be able to keep an eye on where all the Daleks are going, because he's got that stuff that monitors all the living beings. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The Daleks arrive with their epic score. I enjoy it. The Dalek theme is really good.
It's great.
They invade the satellite. Crazy amount of CGI coming from all over the place. Probably decent for 2005 British television.
2005 British television, where they gave them nothing. They gave them no money for this. They went, it's not gonna work, but fine, try.
It looks a little like Galaxy Quest. It has a bit of like a Galaxy Quest CGI look to it.
And you know what? It's charming. I like it.
It's fine. Galaxy Quest also on the list, Rachel?
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. Don't worry. I got my sci-fi list going over here.
On the list.
It's all on the list.
Mickey tells... I wrote Mikey.
Little Mikey.
Ho! Rose and Mickey can't get the TARDIS to work with the car, and you just hear ho, 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 and here comes Mikey with the sled.
On the sled with the kindergartners pulling him down the street.
Now that's a crossover.
Oh, boy.
Volume 5 has been very long for us, folks. We've been in this bunker for a very long time.
He's not letting me leave this room.
And we have like 5 subjects
recording
still.
And editing.
We still have like 5 things to go. Anyway.
Oh, my God.
Mickey says, you could just live your own life. Like, instead of living for the doctor, You
Right.
can live your
Create
own
something for
life.
you.
He's never lived a proper life. He can't live a proper life. You can. You can live here. You can live with me. You can have a normal life. And she's like,
Which
nope,
is what he wants,
nope,
which is
not
what
gonna
the
do that.
doctor wants.
That's what the doctor told her to do. Yeah.
Yes.
As he's telling her this, she notices the bad wolf is graffitied in huge letters on the ground, and Rose is getting distracted by them, and then she sees it's written all over the place.
Like, all this graffiti is just saying, bad wolf, bad wolf, bad wolf.
And she puts it together that it's a message. It's a link between her and the doctor. Because she's... Is this where we get a montage of all the times Bad Wolf has come up? I feel like it is. And she's, like, remembering all the Bad Wolf times. Oh, is that later?
Maybe. I think they do it a couple times, don't they? Where she, like,
I think so.
remembers it, like, how she remembers it in a lot of her...
At some
like,
point in
travels.
this, she has, like, she remembers it via montage of just all of this stuff that she's seen Bad Wolf all over. She thinks that she can get back and help him escape. Jack, in the meantime, is prepping the humans. Stuff starts rumbling, and then they invade. So you're going back and forth between the invasion and Rose trying to get inside the TARDIS. She says that if she can open that thing up again, like what happened in Boomtown,
she can talk to the
then
TARDIS.
she can talk to the TARDIS.
Which I'm assuming the TARDIS is already listening to her. It's
Yeah,
just
that's
like,
what I was
"Can
thinking
have
too.
to
Like, I
listen
don't
to
know
the
if you need
doctor?"
to open the thing up. You could
Sure.
telepathically talk to it by just being in it, I would think. She hugged it earlier.
Right. Well, it's not like spoiling things, but my assumption is that, like, the TARDIS is kind of like, no. I know of time and space. I know when we have to go. All right, like, shush.
That's what we've speculated too. Like, there's some problem with the timeline. I'm taking us here.
Right. It senses things. It goes, wait a minute, my feelers are out. Something's
Right.
wrong with the timeline.
My
We must go
spidey
fix
sense
it.
is tingling.
My TARDIS sense is tingling.
Rose says that she's okay with risking her life, and there's nothing for her here. This is when Mickey's like, all right, fine. Let's open the damn thing then. So he's just like, fine, I'm going to get rid of you then, because this is stupid. Why?
Yeah, he's like really not on board with this at all.
Everything that they did in Boomtown is almost just kind of erased, because like they break up in Boomtown, and then like here he comes running again.
Yeah, but he's
and-
always coming running. That's kind of
yeah,
his
I know.
whole thing too, right? He's just latched onto her.
Right, he's
He loves
attached
her.
to the
He's
hip
a
of the
bit
youngest
clingy.
blonde he could find.
He's a bit clingy.
He's a stage 5 clinger.
Absolutely.
A lone Dalek comes down the hallway and tries to override the defenses, exterminates a bunch of these humans, matrixes their bullets as he gets shot at.
Yes.
Very
It's
matrixy.
just like womp womp womp.
Yeah.
Womp. I think it's because they
It's a
also
force
have like their
field.
own force field. Yeah.
But the effect looks like it's Neo putting the hand
it's
out.
like it ripples.
Yes.
It ripples like it hits water.
The one lady dies hilariously, blaming Jack. She's just
Yeah,
like,
she screams
"You said
at him."
this would work!" And is like screaming about it.
Yes.
She's so pissed off at Jack. The bullets do nothing! My eyes! The goggles do not work!
You lied to me! The bullets don't work!
That's all it reminded me of, and I laughed
kind of
because I was
perfect.
just like, "This is hilarious." This woman's like, "I trusted you, you son of a bitch!"
Right.
Bloody
I kinda wish
American.
she said that. You know what? Doctor Who rated R would be better, because then I think they would be swearing up a storm. It would be more violent.
I kind of want everything to be
They
rated R
take
because
it to
that's
the
how
next
humanity
level.
is. Like Arthur rated R would be pretty good. Everything rated R would be better. So this is a very ill-conceived plan. The idea that Mickey's
It is a little car.
is going to work.
I mean, I guess that's all they have, though. What are they going to do? Just take a crowbar to it? They probably have already tried that.
It does fail, as it should. And at the same time, Jack uses the android to kill a couple of Daleks. It takes
It's kind of great.
It does
You are
take-
the weakest link. Goodbye.
Yes, it's fun to have that come back, I suppose. Especially in 2005, I'm sure that was like very funny. Like, oh look, they had the thing, it came back and killed them. It's fun.
Well, it's a bot versus bot. It's kind of fun. Battle bots.
They do shoot the android dead. I wish the android would have screamed in pain as they did that.
Almost R2-D2 scream.
Yeah, if it would have done a good R2-D2 scream. Should have done great. They go down to kill the humans just out of spite, because they're like, you know what? Fuck it. We're going to go kill all the humans. We don't care. Linda informs the doctor that they're all dead and is all upset about this, because those are her people, in theory.
Right. Yeah.
Jackie tells Rose to leave the TARDIS, and Rose says her dad wouldn't. He would try anything, like we said before. I met him. I met Dad. And Jackie's like, what are you talking about? You didn't meet Dad. You were like 2 years old. You were like 8 months old when he died or whatever. And Jackie is upset at the revelation.
That she was like, wait a minute. Because she even told Rose about the girl who stayed with her dad when he died. Yeah.
And Jackie is upset, and I think a part of that is because that means that Jackie was fucked with too. Like, her past has been fucked with by the doctor.
Yes.
You know, and I do feel like that would be upsetting to be like, oh, so even my life, the death of my husband was manipulated by the doctor, technically.
Right. Yeah. I think it's that probably, and like, you didn't tell me, you didn't say you were going to do this, like, all of that. Just like, why wouldn't, this is something that is mine. Like, that was, your husband was mine, like, or your dad was mine. He's my husband.
Well, and it would be very... It would take too long, like you wouldn't do this in the show, but it would then have to be a conversation of when I was little in a previous timeline, you told me that no one was there for him when he died. Like, you'd have to go through that whole thing with Jackie of like, why did I do this? Like, that's why I did this. And like, because Jackie wouldn't think that now. She wouldn't tell Rose that now because she'd be like, yeah, this cute
he died alone. I didn't want him
there.
to. Yeah.
Rose tries to use it as an example of how good the doctor is. That he would go back and he would allow me to be there for
him.
My dad.
Yeah.
Jackie runs off. Rose is now sobbing about it. The Daleks are bombing continents now. So the Earth is fucked. Like, it is gone. They bomb Australia. They bomb a couple of other places. And the Dalek Emperor says that he's created heaven on Earth. He is completely insane. He has this god complex and stuff.
He does. He absolutely does.
There's this moment, like a minute of this episode is dedicated again to the program directors flirting. And I go back and forth on it because I'm like, why would we care? But at the same time, it gives this little nice...
It's humanity. It's humanity. They know it's like the end of the world, and they're trying to save it. And I think in a couple ways, they know they're going to die, so they're trying to make plans so that it doesn't feel like they're going to die.
All right, that's
fine. A very humanity thing, you know.
You know what, Rachel, you're giving it a lot of life there by saying that. I think I think we would need a little bit more from these characters for that to sink into me. But yes, I agree. That is definitely what they're trying to do with this.
Yeah,
I didn't think about that. That they're trying to make plans knowing that they're probably going to die. It's the Captain America Peggy Carter will go dancing on Saturday.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly.
She's like, yes.
That's a good way to think about it.
It was Rachel's think about it moment. Yes. Think about it.
Think about it.
Still one of my favorite Homer moments. They want to use They want to use a tow truck that Jackie's driving, and then it's like, oh, Jackie is driving this tow truck, and they're like, where the hell did you get this? And she's like, some guy. Rodrigo.
Well, she's like, I know a guy. Don't worry about it. Like,
showed him
but you need to get it back later. I'm assuming it's like one of her, exes or dated this guy at some point. She's like, you owe me. You owe me. Now just give me the damn thing.
Jackie has dated the
everyone
slums of the pub. Just the most
100%.
The worst alcoholics have dated Jackie Tyler.
Yeah.
She says that she thinks it's what Pete would have done. So she turns around on this whole thing, and she does
because she knows, because Pete is one of those, mad scientist, mad ideas. She's like, yeah, he would have done this.
Maybe she put two and two together, too, because we don't really know what lasted in the timeline on that day.
Right.
Because they say, he just went out in the street and got hit by the car.
Yes. So you don't, the monsters were gone. The monsters were taken from
the monsters were not part of that. So, we don't know how much Jackie might remember, or if she remembers him saying, I have to do this. We don't know. So, that's all left ambiguous in this. But she comes in and is like, yeah, your father was a fucking moron, so he probably would have done this. He was a wanker. They're firing on the Daleks. Captain Jack, and the 2 program directors.
Jackie.
Oh, I would love to find out that, like, Captain Jack had an affair with Jackie at some point.
Oh my god. He would. It's
Your father's
Jack.
not really Pete Tyler, Rose.
It's me.
Captain Jack.
He just winks at her.
What a twist.
What a twist.
They hit one in the eye.
Well, it blinds them.
All it does is blind them. So they blind. I can't see. And then they shoot the lady, and then the guy goes like no, and then he gets taken out. So then the guy's dead too.
Mm-hmm.
So these little minor tertiary characters in these episodes are dead. Question, Rachel.
Yes.
Would you prefer if, like, the second half of the series, they build up more of these tertiary characters to die off in these last episodes? I don't know how they would
have
do
more
that.
of an impact?
Yeah, I don't know how.
I think that would be nice. I understand what you're saying, and I think that would be nice. Kill off the characters that I've grown to love. Yes, I think that would have more of an impact, and it would help out.
When this is supposed to be like the big
with the way
epic
that the
finale.
stories happen, the way that the stories happen, though, it's kind of hard to
How would
do
you
that
do that?
because
Yeah.
these characters come and go because they're not in the same timelines. They're not in the same stories most of the time.
So they do as much as they can to try to make you feel for these characters in the short amount of time.
Mm-hmm. Especially with how they're trying to make it look like the Big Brother girl, Linda with a Y,
Yes.
might be coming with us.
Right.
So now you're like, oh, I have to put some stakes into this girl.
Right. Yeah, there's varying effects of how well they do that throughout the entire series, but like just kind of like realize like okay, they're trying and to make you feel for them for sure.
Yes.
They're trying to get in the room to come after Linda.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't because the door is made of something that they can't get through, and they even try to get through and they're like not totally able to. They like pierce it a little bit, but they can't really get through. And Linda's like terrified. And
well, yeah, wouldn't you be?
But the doctor's like, you're gonna be fine. They can't get through there. And instead, they're like, well, fuck it, we'll do it a different way.
They're like welding.
I don't know why this room doesn't have a shield for its giant observation window.
It does feel like it should, because maybe that's why they did say like, oh, what it's built for is built for meteors, right? So like maybe this was supposed to be if this breaks, right? Then oh, okay, we're shielded, everything's fine.
But the window. Why don't you have something that can cover the window?
I guess she didn't know to close it. She didn't know they were going to come through the window. That's what exactly happens. They fly up and they're like looking in the window like, hello there, Clarice, and like about to kill her. Like,
yeah, they blast at the window breaks, and she gets presumably sucked out into space and dies.
Yes.
Goes into the fetal position like Bob Dole and Bill Clinton. So Jack is the last one left and tells the doctor, kill them all, doctor! Kill them all! And eventually they shoot and kill him. I thought it was a little weird because it felt like he was leading them to the doctor's room, almost like if Jack could get back to the doctor.
He was trying to push them back. I think he was just the last line of defense.
I was hoping that it was more like he was leading them away from the doctor while he was... But I couldn't really tell where he was. So they're all dead. Everyone is dead
The
except for the
Emperor
doctor.
has a good line here, though, because like Jack is like, finish that thing to kill them all, and the Emperor goes, yes, finish it to kill all of mankind.
Yes.
I'm like, that's a good line. Yeah.
They open the TARDIS using the tow truck, which seems insane, but at least it's like a big tow truck. But it's it's a very British tow truck. Like an
It does look
American
different.
tow truck would like pull that fucker down in no time flat.
The TARDIS would be just yanked across.
Ah, crap. He yanked the whole TARDIS across. So they open up the heart of the TARDIS again.
Which I still believe the TARDIS went, all right, it's time, and just opened itself. It wasn't, it had nothing
to do with the tow truck. Yeah, I could believe that. I absolutely could believe that. Rose looks directly into the light. Her eyes get some sort of beam sucked into them. And as the TARDIS whooshes away, and she gets the Phoenix Force, I guess, put into her. This, Rachel, the next 10 minutes is one of the most comic book fucking things I've ever seen.
Then you should like it.
I read, or have read, in my
books.
Big deal.
I'm sorry. Go on.
Comic books in my life, and this is one of the most comic booky things ever.
And I think that's okay. I like the comic booky stuff. I'm all right with these, like, crazy tropes, especially because the TARDIS is nuts and, like, is overpowered. And that's why it has to be contained.
This kind of comic booky Deus Ex Machina trope can work if they've built it up. Sometimes when this happens in comic books, I go, I guess they couldn't find a way out of that one. And they have to come up with this to do it. This feels like she becomes Jean Grey. She gets the Phoenix Force powers to a T. That's what this feels like. And now that I'm thinking about it, okay, so let's describe what happens, and then I'm gonna link it to a.
That's fine. That's fine.
Jack runs out of ammo, and they kill him. I do like when they go exterminate, and he goes, "Yeah, I kind of figured that," and then they blow his ass away. The Daleks.
I shouldn't laugh. It's sad that Jack dies. Go on.
He had a good run. The Daleks surround the we don't know how old he is. He might be an immortal being like the Doctor. I don't know. The Daleks surround the Doctor. Now that the beam is ready. The Emperor again is like, if you do this, we're all going to die. Except that the Dalek is immortal. And he's like, fine, Doctor, go ahead. Pull the fucking trigger. Kill us all.
Yeah, pretty much.
I want to see you do it. The Great Exterminator. The Doctor. Prove yourself, Doctor. Are you a coward or a killer? Because, as we've said, this Dalek remembers the fact that the Doctor already murdered all of his race. So he's like, do it again,
They both are the ones that ran. They were both the ones that lived when the rest of their race died.
Right.
Exactly.
I like his taunting here where he's like, do it again. I bet you won't. Bet you won't do it. Because he's just like...
It's true.
And
he's also kind of insane, so he's just like, yeah, go ahead, do it, pull the trigger. Like, he's gone a little crazy.
Well, he probably also thinks, like, I'll survive it, you won't.
Again, right.
They will be found, Dr. Jones! You won't! Temple of Doom.
Oh my god.
No? Alright, it's on the list.
Of course it is.
The Doctor cannot bring himself to do it. There's no score. Calls himself a coward. There's no score at this point. It enhances the tension without having that.
Yes.
Waiting for Rachel to do her just trying to relieve the tension.
We already did it. I don't have to do it again.
It's fine. Fine.
We're not relieving the tension. We're adding tension. Just trying to add to the tension.
The Emperor says that his weakness will bring harvest to mankind.
And then there's whooshing.
Yes, then there is whooshing. The TARDIS comes back, and the Doctor is like, why is there whooshing? And a huge light emits from the TARDIS. It looks like the poltergeist closet. I half expected.
It really does. Just like ghost
to be like,
whoa!
This is where Zelda Rubenstein could have made her. It's not Rose. Rose
Come
turned
into
into
the light,
a little Southern woman. Rose sent
Come
me to
with
save...
me, children.
This is how the TARDIS's heart personifies itself. It's Rose and Zelda Rubenstein.
Oh my god!
To save you, child.
The TARDIS is actually just Zelda Rubenstein. Like that's who they're like, no, this is who I am. I am Zelda. It's like, come into the light, child.
Y'all gonna
I'll
go
make
into
it so
the
you
light
can kill
now.
all the Daleks. They can come with me. Children, come with me.
Daleks, follow me into the light. Into the light, childs. Yeah, and Zelda Rubenstein as the TARDIS.
The TARDIS.
Rose comes out. She's full on Jean Grey at this point. She says she looked into the TARDIS. And the Doctor's like, no, that means that you looked into the time vortex, and you're going to go fucking insane now because you're seeing all of time.
That's correct.
Which is very, very comic booky. I know this has happened in DC and Marvel Comics over the years, where it's like, you can see everything. You have the powers of a god. And, it happens.
Of course.
They try to shoot Rose. They can't. She Neos them right back.
Yeah.
Absolutely Neos them. And then she says, I am the bad wolf. So she apparently takes the words Bad Wolf, and she's like, I'll create myself, and I'll send these words through all of space-time. So
she
like
scatters
puts
it through
to
time.
to all of the adventures that they've
as like
had.
a warning, as like a note, like make sure you note this.
She's leading herself there.
Exactly.
Is the idea.
To that moment, to that fixed point.
Mm-hmm. The doctor says that this is going to burn, like, Rose, you're going to burn because of this. This power is going to, like, murder you. It's going to, like,
it'll kill her.
It'll destroy all of your cells and kill you. Again, very comic booky. And Rose is like, but I have
Which
to protect...
is fine. I don't understand why you keep saying it.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm just making parallels. I'm just saying, like, it's very, very sci-fi comic
this
book.
whole thing. Yes, I agree.
And very Deus Ex Machina as well, because like Rose literally is a god machine at this point.
I suppose. I mean, you take in the heart of the TARDIS. This is not something you should have done. That's why the TARDIS is what it is. It's containing itself. It's built for that. She's not built to hold that.
Rose says that she wanted to protect the doctor. My doctor. So I guess this is where you could maybe get the
safe.
Yeah, the glances at Linda because she calls him my doctor. I think she does.
Yeah, she's like, I wanted to keep you safe, my doctor.
Yeah. Rose divides the atoms of all the Daleks.
Oh, I love
like
when
the Phoenix. This is taken straight out of an X-Men comic book.
Sure, that's fine.
Like she
wants to like destroy the false god, and he says something about her, and she goes, "You are tiny." I liked that line. I don't know why, but there's something about the way she says, "You are tiny," and then like just kills them.
Because she's like, I can see like everything that's ever been and ever will be. Like you're not a god, and like the false god will die. And very much does Dr. Doom / the Phoenix like hand motion
splitting them.
And like splits the atoms and destroys them all. This is where I was like, okay.
Part of me wonders if this is Rose, but it is also the TARDIS. It's
no,
not
I think it absolutely
really
is.
Rose.
It's the TARDIS using Rose as a vessel. Yeah.
Yes. So the TARDIS is taking over and saying, "No, I am doing this. Like you're my doctor. I'm part of me is
I think part
most
of it is
of this.
It's both of them. It's Rose and the TARDIS.
Yes, because like the TARDIS, maybe the TARDIS is also like, no, this is mine. Like I'm going to fix this. This is my job.
So I'm about to spoil a 10-year-old comic book that you have not read, Rachel.
That's okay.
It is considered one of the greatest Marvel story arcs of all time. And
it's probably on my list of to-be reads.
Absolutely. It is on the list. It's something that we are building up to it very slowly over the years, but we will get to it.
So I guess spoilers? Skipped the next 30 seconds.
Probably more than that, knowing us. Jonathan Hickman is a writer for Marvel, or was a writer for Marvel, and I kind of want to know if he was a fan of Doctor Who. And folks at home, if you know this, please let us know, because I'm really wondering if he was a fan of Doctor Who after watching this episode. There is a storyline called Secret Wars that is very critically acclaimed.
Oh,
In said storyline, Dr. Doom, I almost said Doctor Who, Dr. Doom becomes a godlike being. And the refrain from the beginning of the storyline to the end of the storyline is everything dies. The storyline is about atrophy and mortality and the death of universes and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And Rose says anything that is born can like be destroyed. Everything dies. She literally says everything dies.
Right.
At the end of the storyline for Secret Wars, something happens where a being is able to recreate the universe via all the molecules and atoms, and it blows stuff up very, very much like Rose does in this scene. And and I was like, she even says everything dies. Jonathan Hickman has to have like taken some, or is this a trope of sci-fi?
It could be.
And it's like from a bunch of different stuff, and it could be from something from like the 1800s or something like that.
Right. It's always
possible. Thought it was interesting because I was just like, she even says the line from that, like, and the similarities of the end of Secret Wars and this.
Oh, sure.
I saw parallels too. Anyway, my geek talk is now over. You may resume
He says he doesn't like sci-fi, but then, talks about the comic books and how sci-fi heavy those are.
Okay, but I'm not a huge fan of the way that some of these plots get resolved. Sometimes they're not that great.
Right. Sometimes they're not strong enough. But
I'm not necessarily saying I like
good story.
The ending of that either. I'm just saying, like, this was very, very sci-fi.
It was just similar. Yeah.
She says that the Time War it will now end. She's crying as she does this. Did you notice that, Rachel? They put like a streak of it almost looks like a streak of light because of what it is, but she's clearly crying out of pain or anger or not understanding what's happening to her.
Right.
The Emperor Dalek fights his death, but is shriveled to nothing, and the Dalek fleet explodes, and there's a bunch of explosions. I assume that Emperor Dalek comes back, Rachel, because he seems like too good of a character to not come back. You don't have to tell me.
Okay, I won't.
The Doctor tells Rose that okay, fine, you did it. You killed all the Daleks. You have to let this go. You have to let this power go, or it's going to destroy you. And she is like, I can't, or I won't. I don't remember
How can I remove this? How can I let this go when I can bring life?
Right. She says she can bring life, and she brings Jack back to life.
Yes. He breathes. He all of a sudden goes and gasps.
And this also felt very...
This is where I really think the TARDIS took over.
Yeah, but it felt like the Phoenix, or it felt like a comic book where it's like, I control all, and you could just hear the ha 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 of a movie where I wanted her to levitate and stuff to start spinning around the room and shit.
Sure, I mean, I think that could have happened, absolutely.
It felt like there could have been a really quick heel turn where no, I'm going to set the world right. I'm going to save
in what she thinks
the universe's
right.
timeline, and Doctor could be like, no, you can't do this. There's a path to it all, Rose. I have to deal with that burden. It's mine, not yours. And he kind of does that. Mm-hmm. She tells him that it hurts, but a quick heel turn, and then she comes back from it, or she then when she wakes up, she's like, I don't remember anything except for the power was too much or whatever, something like that.
Right. It hurt.
The Doctor says, this is what I see all the time, and it can drive you mad. I don't know if... Does he, though? Or does he just be linked to the TARDIS? I thought that was an odd thing to say.
So even the first episode, he says, he can feel, the Earth and, everything. And he can, kind of see where it's going, what's coming next and all of that kind of stuff. As a Time Lord, you kind of learn stuff about the Time Lords later. You get to understand more about the Time Lords later, and we might have known some of this from the past too, but I do believe that they are linked and can see a lot of the timelines and all of time and space and all of that is in their heads. But the way she's holding it, it's not something that he's supposed to do either.
And I figured part of that is supposed to be him being you cannot control it, I can barely control it, and I'm a Time Lord. Yeah, exactly. She says that her head hurts, that it's driving her mad, and he's like, you need a doctor. So is this is a big reason that he has that name of the Doctor? Because
I don't know if he ever really truly explains it, but the interpretation of why he does it is because, in my head, or maybe from other people, is that he is fixing things and he wants to help, and what better way to help than a doctor?
Gotcha.
The doctor's there to help, right? So he took the name of the Doctor to help.
He kisses her after saying she needs a doctor. I guess then he kind of sucks in and takes the time vortex back, and the Bad Wolf Choir comes in again. Yes. I didn't need that. Didn't need that at all. The kiss from the Doctor to Rose. I've told you I was assuming that was going to happen, and I didn't want it. I don't think, though, if I'm being fully honest, I don't think it is a romantic kiss. I think it is I love you unconditionally, but not in a romantic sense that he's kissing her. He's kissing her because he knows that one of them is probably going to die. But I don't think that's a romantic kiss.
Okay. That's fine.
At least between this Doctor, Christopher Eccleston, and Rose Tyler.
No, that's fine. Piper. that's okay, because it could have just been the way he had to, like, kind of distract her so he could, like, it would loosen the pole and then he could take it.
I mean, I
for
think
himself,
it is a kiss. It is a kiss out of love, but it's not a romantic feeling.
For her, it might be.
I don't know. I've told you my thoughts. I really do not think. I think that the doctor
She's a huge
should
infatuation.
Not be.
You
in love
think
with
that?
the
Yes,
companions.
and I think that's also why one of the old doctors says there's too much snogging. It's not about like the love and like the relationships the doctor makes like that. Like it's not supposed to be about that.
I don't have a problem with other relationships. It just feels like the doctor shouldn't have that kind of connection. But that's my thing. He exhales the time vortex back into the TARDIS, and Rose faints. And then he smiles and checks on Rose. So he like smiles when it's all over, like, okay, got through that. Jack gets up and stumbles forward, seeing the ash left over from the destruction of the Daleks.
Right.
And the TARDIS leaves without him. I guess the doctor thought that he was dead, so
could be it.
Wouldn't he? You know, like he heard him dying, so
he doesn't know that she brought him back. That was just for our perspective.
I do kind of wonder what happens to Jack now. Like I'm assuming, finds a way to travel through time to continue his escapades. I know that he is in that spin-off Torchwood or whatever.
Do you want me to tell you that he does come back or doesn't come back?
I know he comes back because of Torchwood. There's a spin-off. I just don't know if he'd ever come back in Doctor Who.
Besides that.
Sure, go ahead. What the hell? Okay.
We do see Jack again. Oh, I can spoil that. I think that's fine.
Rose wakes up, asking what happened, and the doctor's like, I sang a song and the Daleks left. So he's still being the doctor.
Right.
And the doctor looks down at his hand and he sees that he's glowing. And he looks at her and his voice trembles. Christopher Eccleston does an excellent job in this scene. The first time I watched it, I was disappointed. The second time I watched it, I was like, nope, he put it... No, I wasn't disappointed in Christopher Eccleston. I was disappointed in what happens.
Yes.
But the acting that he does in this scene is top notch. Because he lets his voice tremble, knowing what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that there's no score as well. I love that
it's great.
This empty, echoey fucking TARDIS room that I've hated the fact that it has echoed before, but it works for this scene in particular. I haven't hated it, but I've been like, can we get rid of the echo a little bit to make it sound a little more high budget? But it works for this scene a lot. He says that he was going to take her everywhere, to Barcelona.
Not the city.
And not the city, Barcelona, but the planet. She's like, well, why can't we go? And he's like, well, maybe you will. Maybe I will. But not like this. And he starts to go insane as he dies.
Well,
he like becomes crazier and crazier.
I think it's because all of his cells are dying and being reborn at the same time.
Right.
So I think he is going a little nuts.
He says it's a trick. They have, the Time Lords are wizards, and it's a dodgy process. But he recoils in pain.
I think he's holding
absorbing
back a
energy.
little too.
Oh, you think so?
I think he's holding back a little bit to say goodbye.
Okay. Okay, I see what you're saying. Because I've read...
He could just let it go and just regenerate.
I've read
just let it happen.
That the regenerations
it also takes a long time.
Yeah, because I've read that the regenerations of the past doctors, they were always like lying down like on their deathbed, essentially.
Right.
This was the first time that like the doctor stood up, that light comes out, and like you see the regeneration process. And I think from this point on, they use this as that template.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Kind of a cheating of death that the Time Lords learned or discovered or whatever, except he's going to change. And he tells Rose that he's never going to see her again. And then this was good, Rachel. I thought I was like, oh, you know what? As much, because I'm going to be honest, I was disappointed because to me, I felt like Christopher Eccleston started developing this character a lot. So when it happened, I was like, he could have gone out on a better note. I feel like he could have gone out even higher than this. But then watching it back, I was like, you know what, though? Those are the lines he'd have to say. Like, yes. it fit him very, very well.
Yes.
And before I go...
Don't say that.
Rose. Before I go, I just want to tell you were fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And you know what? So was I.
So was I. So good. So good.
So good. It hits.
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
It's great.
That part.
That hits you.
So a very good ending for Christopher Eccleston. I will give them that, as much as I do kind of wish that they would have done more with him.
I wish it.
This last scene, and particular telling Rose goodbye and saying that he was fantastic, couldn't ask for more. He explodes into David Tennant. This is what I wrote.
Yes, that's true, though. He does.
And because I know David Tennant as the Purple Man, crazy Barty Crouch,
and
I could see that.
He kind of looks that way here, just because of the
like,
lighting and the leather jacket. He does the tongue thing because he's touching his teeth.
Like that's the way he looks. He looks fucking crazy.
He looks a little nuts.
It's fucking insane. But it is David Tennant. He's wearing Christopher Eccleston's leather jacket, of course. So he's wearing he's not wearing the
exact
proper
same outfit,
the proper attire quite yet and stuff. And he's like, "Oh, different new teeth. It's very strange, isn't it?" And then I say he looks even crazier, Rachel, because Christopher Eccleston does the big cheesy smile and looks like Bugs Bunny. David Tennant does the big smile and looks like he's gonna murder you. Like that's the look that he has.
You know him as a bad guy. It's a very charming smile, though. Eye crinkle and everything, and then he says Barcelona. Were we?
It is David Tennant's Doctor Who smile. So you see it for the first time here. He says, "Where was I?" Oh, yes.
He also
Barcelona.
has always wanted to be Doctor Who.
Yes, this was his dream, and he gets to do it. Yes, and he smiles, and it goes right into dun 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 dun, and the end credits start, and that's the end of the series, in my opinion, because now there's a new Doctor. Don't listen to what Max. I don't know what the Blu-ray would say. If
I don't
the
know
Blu-ray
why they
has
have
the
it there.
Christmas Invasion on it or not, but
I'd have to. I think I have.
It should be the first episode
on my
of the
David
second
Tennant series, so it's like,
Yeah,
but
so
that's
it
because
doesn't.
it's all of David Tennant. So I don't know.
Rachel, that is the end of Doctor Who Series 1. So just to give you the idea here, I wrote down my initial thoughts before I watched it again, and I said that the ending was like a strange comic book, and the ending, the first time I watched it, did not hit me like I feel like they wanted it to, or like it should have. I was disappointed in the Doctor changing, and I think that they wanted me to be excited, but I was disappointed. And I disagree with that on the second time, because I think you should feel sad that you're losing the 9th Doctor,
yes,
and that he's gone. So I retract that statement slightly, because
it's a mixed feeling.
Yeah, it's a decent.
He's dying. You're sad. No more Christopher Eccleston, and excitement for what's next.
I suppose I don't know what's next, so as a non-fan, I'm just like, oh, all right, But I do think that it was a very good finale for him. Okay. It was a decent conclusion. Even at the first time I watched it, I was rolling my eyes at the comic book style of it, but I can't really judge too much because of liking comic books and whatnot. Even still, I did think it wasn't as grand of an ending as it could have been. I thought the Deus Ex stuff with Rose was a bit much. I'm not a big fan of that in most pop culture stuff, when it's just kind of like, okay, and now the god powers are going to destroy everything or solve everything. But overall, I thought the episode works pretty well. It does feel grand. It does feel like a finale. I like Christopher Eccleston debating about whether or not to keep Rose there, letting her go home. We talked about some of the issues with Rose there, but yes, him trying to juggle the fact that this is technically his fault because of the fact that he cuts and runs and lets the Dalek, and the Daleks knew he was going to do that and whatnot. So overall, pretty good ending and conclusion for the 9th Doctor. Rachel, your final thoughts on this story arc before we get into the verdict here.
Rewatching it again, and I will say I have watched it multiple times at this point. I remember watching this and just kind of going, oh my god, like they're killing all these characters off, and oh my god, like I can't, like what's gonna happen, and I felt those like emotions with each line and everything like that too. So I felt like it hit pretty hard, and I like sometimes when they go over the top and they kind of like bring it all to this crazy head of like an enormous power that can't be controlled or contained, and then it kind of like it gets put back to where it should be. It is definitely a trope that I've seen many times.
Oh, sure.
In a bunch of different stuff.
And I think sometimes some stuff handles it better than others. I thought
exactly.
I thought this was okay. I thought that this one did it okay.
Because to me, the TARDIS is one of those like incredible, powerful being that it is like also only one of its kind and all of that kind of stuff too. So it's just one of those that it all comes to a head.
Yeah.
And this is how I got into Doctor Who this entire season. This is where I started. I started with Christopher Eccleston, and I felt that like sadness, like, oh, I was like starting to really enjoy the character and like where it was going and all of that too. So at the end, I was kind of sad that he wasn't going to be a part of this anymore, because I wanted to continue on. So that's how I kind of see the series.
Okay. So that was The Parting of the Ways, the 13th and final episode of Series 1 of Doctor Who. So, Rachel, we have done a lot of discussion about Doctor Who.
We have.
It's taken 3 volumes to do so.
Which is crazy.
6 parts we've done it all in. And that means that it is time where we will determine whether or not Doctor Who Series 1 has shelf life. Before that, really quick, let's do the rankings of the episodes. Rankings. Okay, here we go.
Where the episodes are ranked, and it doesn't even matter.
And it doesn't matter. Yay!
Yay!
Okay, Rachel, as usual, because I hate when people rank from the top to the bottom, because why would you do that? You save the bottom. I guess it's because people can go, oh, I know it's going to be number 1, but it's like, yeah, but why would you start at the top?
I like starting from the bottom going up. Yeah, that's my favorite way. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you want me to start like I've been starting with the...
Yes, I feel like you should. I feel like you should start with these. It just makes more sense.
My number 13.
Because there were 13 episodes.
Yes. My number 13 is Boomtown, the episode with Bon Flashaflock and the debate about whether or not the Doctor should
ships.
be... Yes, that's right. Rachel, you're number 13?
I also went with number 13 as Boomtown. I did the same. It just wasn't a strong episode. It just felt like a throwaway, but it, of course, had important information in it, so that like annoyed me at the same time.
It felt like a battle episode. It felt kind of like... go back and listen to us discuss that episode. It's not like it's insulting to my intelligence or anything like that. It's just kind of there. It really felt like they were stretching the reasoning for it being there pretty thin. So I didn't like that one. It was my number 13.
Like we were saying before too, it was like they were trying to do what they were doing in this one, where it's like, see what you do, you left this behind. It was like they were trying to have that one help build up to this moment, because like, oh, look again, see, you shouldn't have just walked away. You should have checked stuff.
Yeah.
But it just didn't have that effect. It didn't have that same feeling.
Yeah, it didn't feel it. They could have come up with some other way to do it that I think would have worked better.
Mm-hmm.
Rachel, what's your number 12?
I went with the Aliens of London, again with the Slovene stuff. It's a little too fart jokey for me, which is literally all it is. So that's kind of why I went with that one, the Aliens of London.
I have my number 12 as The Unquiet Dead. Again, it's fine, but after watching it, I was like, if this is what Doctor Who is, then it's going to be kind of draggy, because it's the Charles Dickens one. These bottom 5 for me could probably be a little interchangeable sometimes. Like, I'm thinking maybe Aliens of London should have been lower on my list. But for me, I've got The Unquiet Dead at 12 because it felt more like just kind of an episode to have them go to the past, because they've just got some old-timey stuff sitting around, and we could make a Charles Dickens episode out of it. Realistically, if you were to go back and rewatch this, you wouldn't have to watch that episode to get literally anything, except for the first mention of Bad Wolf. Like, that's kind of all that's there. My number 11 is Rose, the first episode of the series. It does a decent job of establishing the characters and everything. The villain plot, the mannequins or whatever, was kind of strange. Yeah, that was a little odd. some of it just doesn't hold up. I didn't think the budget definitely comes through in that one. So I put it as number 11.
Okay. My number 11 is I'm kind of sticking with my the Slovene isn't my favorite alien, and I went with World War III. It's not bad. It was just kind of it's just more fart jokes. It's just kind of like the finishing off the story. I do think it was better than the first part. I think just
I would
because
agree
of
with
the characterization.
Harriet Jones lifts it
there's,
a little bit.
There's more of that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So my number 10 was The Unquiet Den. So now I I had it up a little bit higher. And I think I only did because they went into the past on this one, and I was just kind of like, I liked getting to play with further into the past.
I do like that too. To me, it felt a little PBS, like a Wishbone episode.
It did feel like a Wishbone episode, absolutely. And I think that's why it's lower on my list, is just because it is kind of a little blah. A little bland when it comes to the past episode, which I feel like they could have done a little bit more. They could have made it a little bit more, but I still feel like it was fun getting to play around with that.
Yeah.
With the time machine.
My number 10 is Aliens of London, as we've discussed. I'm not a huge fan of the Slitheen. For me, though, it was the first time of seeing a Doctor Who where the real world is seeing some of this craziness. And I liked the build up there and some of like the tension that they had in Aliens of London. But ultimately, I'm with you. There's too many fart jokes, and this thing are too wacky, and it's a little too Russell Davies being funny and silly with the script. And World War III is number 9 for me. Just the whole arc.
Right.
I don't even remember what we said. I bet if you go back and you listen to what we said, and one of us is like, "Oh, the first part was better," or something.
Yeah,
Who knows?
I'm trying to remember where the characterization was in. There was like more characterization in one part than the other, and there was like more of that.
I'm going to remind everyone that these rankings do not matter.
They don't matter. It doesn't matter. It's fine.
Rachel, you're number 9?
My number 9 is Rose. That's the first episode again.
We had same bottom
It's
5.
interchangeable.
Yeah.
I didn't want to put it too low because I know it's the first episode, you know, they have to get us somewhere. They have to bring in everything. It could have been stronger, of course, right? The living plastic, it's a weird alien that they just kind of went, yeah, that's fine. But it was my first episode of the new stuff, and I know I've seen old stuff, so of course I have a little nostalgia for it, and I'm going to put it up a little bit higher just because it's kind of silly to watch all of the characters come together.
Sure.
Then number 8 for me is The Long Game.
And that's the same for me. I also have The Long Game at 8.
Yes. It's fine.
I had it lower on the list before Bad Wolf. And Bad Wolf actually propped it up a little bit because of the the setting. So it incorporated itself, by incorporating it in there, it actually made it so it's like, oh, okay, like now there was like purpose to it, which you probably shouldn't do. The episodes should be evaluated on their own, but for me, it was like you're saying, it's fine. It's there.
Yeah, it's fine. The bad guy is kind of interesting, and stealing all of like
monster? Or Simon Pegg.
I was thinking Simon Pegg.
Yeah, it's the same episode.
But yeah, the butthole monster is kind of fun.
I read somewhere that Simon Pegg was actually supposed to come back as the Minority Report twin. Like they hooked him up.
I could have seen that happening. Or like, do you think that she was like a descendant of him? Because like he was also just like
that pale. Yeah,
yes,
he looked kind of like her.
That pastiness of like never getting to leave the room type of thing. So it could be kind of interesting. I just like that actor, so it's hard not to, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, there was a schedule conflict, so he couldn't be hooked up to some wires for a while.
Yeah. At number 7, I have The End of the World. So this one, I like all of the wacky aliens and the fun with the skin flap and the tree lady.
Yes.
And the little blue Sultan creature genie guy. I think all of that is fun. It's cheap looking, but in like a quaint way, in like a fun, like, oh, this is like a Power Rangers episode type of way. So I thought that this one had enough good moments in it. It establishes a lot for Rose, and it establishes a lot for the Doctor. So I got it at 7.
My 7 is Father's Day. Father's Day never really hit as hard for me. I think it's fine. I think it's good. It's got some characterization in it. The weird time dragon creature gargoyle things.
Sure.
are a little weird. I know I'm going to say that's weird and then be like, I like these weird aliens. Some of the aliens are fun for me. This one is just kind of like, all right, there's a monster. Like, it's more of a monster than actually like a being or like an animal or like something like that. It just feels more like a weird Doom creature is coming to come get me.
Yes, they look like they straight out of Doom too. The CGI in them, for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, the CGI may have been off-putting as well for me on this one, and I think that's why this looked cheap to me versus, like, the actual, like, makeup and, like, creature creation. To me, this felt like a cheap episode.
Yeah, it's not great
Like,
CGI.
I made this with clip art. Like, all right. I did this in some weird animation software. So that's the only reason. Otherwise, the characterization is great. I like having the dynamic with Rose and her father and the choices of changing the past and actually having to keep it the way it is. My number 6 is the end of the world. And I like the aliens, like I was saying. That's why I'm like, oh, I'm going to say the aliens. But it's like, I liked how they actually used makeup on, like, the tree lady. I thought she actually looked really, really good for being, like, full of makeup and, like, prosthetics and everything to make her into an alien.
Right.
And I also do like the dynamic of the doctor showing Rose, and she kind of like is like, it's just mind-blowing because this is her first trip. So it's kind of fun to get to see that part of their travels and all of that kind of stuff too. It helped establish more of like, what is this going to be like? We're going to the future and we're going to see what happens.
My number 6 is Bad Wolf. I thought it was good, but I've kind of talked about, some of the issues that I had with the episode overall, but I did think that as a building story arc for the conclusion, I had that one as number 6. It's a good episode, and it does build to the final, like, epicness of it. My problem with it is the reality TV show Hook is a little corny, and it's very Russell Davies funny.
Yes.
I'm trying to be cheeky writing.
Right.
And that doesn't always hold up for me. So that's where I have it as number 6.
Sure. And that's why it's my number 5. It kind of ages it a little bit because of all of the silliness of it.
Silliness in Doctor Who I know goes hand in hand.
Of course, is great, but this silliness is kind of like that just makes me think, like, this just feels old. It just makes it feel old. I do like that episode a lot because of how much it builds everything up. I like how the characters have to figure out a way out of this weird post-apocalyptic reality TV show, game show type of thing.
Yeah.
So it's still fun.
My number 5 is The Parting of the Ways, the finale that we just talked about. And we've talked about a lot of it. I think it is a good conclusion for Christopher Eccleston, so it works pretty well in that regard. And see podcasts for other descriptions therein.
Just rewind to listen about that one.
Yeah, press the little button that said The Parting of the Ways if you skipped it and went right to the rankings for some reason. But yes, I've got it as my number 5.
And mine's number 4. Same reasons as we were talking about today, how I really enjoy that it, like, built up to the end, and the acting for Christopher Eccleston is great. Yeah, the same things that we were kind of like talking about. I like the story. There's parts that could be a little bit stronger to make it more of my favorite, but it's not on the top. So
so there. My number 4 is The Doctor Dances. I thought, and I understand, and I do not come in with the baggage of being a Doctor Who fan. So I do know that people think that this is like one of the greatest Doctor Who stories between this and The Empty Child of all time. I thought that the ending wasn't as strong as I was hoping it would be. I thought that the conclusion was not as much as I was hoping for, even though Rachel, if you go back and listen to the episode that we did on it, she gets me there with, like, why, as a Doctor Who fan, you would feel that way. I could see this flip-flopping with The Parting of the Ways, because I do think that The Parting of the Ways has a stronger conclusion, even with that Deus Ex Rose conclusion. It's the last scene of the Doctor regenerating that I think saves that one a lot.
Sure.
I just have this one a little bit higher because of the setting and of the way that...
World War II is your favorite war.
That's right. I can't knock it down for that. So I've got this one at number...
high.
Yeah, exactly. So I've got it at number 4 for me. Oh, and The Empty Child I have as number 3. I thought that the setup with The Empty Child was really good. That's why I was slightly disappointed by the Dr. Dances, because I was like, oh, there's good creepy effects in it. I like the setting. Yes. I like the characters that are with us. Captain Jack gets introduced. He's not quite the cartoon character that he is in Boomtown or the Dr. Dances.
Sure.
It's very good. It's very good. So I have The Empty Child as my number 3. So between the two of them, 3 and 4, right. People can't bitch at me that much. I made it 3 and 4 out of 13 on the list.
Well, I can say then 3 and 2 is the entire Empty Child Dr. Dances is for me too. This is probably one of my favorite stories, like for this season at least, and potentially like throughout. It's probably one of my favorites. It's very enjoyable to me. I like that it goes a little darker in sections. Like, I wish it would hit. I always wanted to push further, but it's Doctor Who. It can't go that far. But I do like that it's a little creepier. It has a memorable monster character. And I do like the end of this one. I like how it brings it to a point where the Doctor is relieved that he can save everybody. So I do like how that one actually ends.
My number 2 is Father's Day.
I knew you were going to put that one up higher. You really liked that one.
I
felt that coming. Yeah.
I think that this one's very, very good. I do agree that the villains, the gargoyle CGI doom creatures, are bad. They're not good. They're not good at all. But the characters and the characterization and the way that they frame, I like that it's this small, intimate episode.
Oh, sure.
With Rose just trying to see her dad, and I like the way that the Doctor plays into that. It just works for me as a character study a lot, and I definitely overlook the CGI of it to put it at number 2 because the villains, the gargoyle creature things, are not good. They should have been like Grim Reapers or something. Just make it simpler.
Yeah,
and that would have been better. Make it the Grim Reapers.
I think it would have put it higher up for me.
The Grim Reapers from End of the World, and then that would have worked better. But overall, I really, really liked this episode. I thought it was great. I did.
I don't hate it. I do like it. It's just not.
Yeah, you had it at 7.
It just never felt as strong.
Sure.
Right.
And we both have the same number 1, Rachel.
We do, which is funny.
If you've been paying attention at home, crossing it off the list.
Episode 6, the Dalek, is number 1 on both of our lists. The Dalek character is great. The story's fun. It's a great introduction to one of the Doctor's biggest foes, and you can feel that tension between them.
But gives the Daleks some different kind of characterization than people would probably have been used to as well, with the fact that it can't kill Rose. Yeah, exactly.
They're not just like a mindless death machine. It actually has some character to it.
Yeah, the tete-a-tete between him and the Doctor, the Dalek and the Doctor, works really well. Only thing that would have made this better is if I like how they introduced Jack, because I don't like Adam, but he's not as
Adam
big of a stooge as he is.
Yeah, he's not a douche in this
long
one.
Game.
Mm-hmm.
So, but even the being in the vault and dealing with the guy that owns the internet, the dynamic between the Doctor and the Dalek works really well, like you're saying, Rachel, and with Rose and the Dalek too.
Yes,
and it's that first time that you have the Doctor frantically trying to save Rose, and you get to learn a lot about what the Doctor did to the Daleks and all of this kind of stuff.
There's a lot of backstory in this.
It's a fun episode to me. Okay, so that is our rankings, our shelf life rankings. If you average it all out, the list goes Dalek, The Empty Child, The Dr. Dances, The Parting of Ways, and Father's Day, both tied there. Bad Wolf, The End of the World, and then The Long Game, World War III and Rose are tied. Aliens of London and The Unquiet Dead are tied. And then the very, very bottom is Boomtown.
Poor Boomtown.
Dalek 1, Empty Child 2, Dr. Dances 3, Father's Day 4, Parting of Ways 5, Bad Wolf 6, End of the World 7, Long Game 8, Rose 9, World War III 10, The Unquiet Dead 11, Aliens of London 12, and Boomtown is at the bottom as episode number 13. Rachel, that means that we have come to the time of the show where I will ask you the most important of questions that we ask on this show, Shelf Life, a podcast where the brother and sister team go through all things pop culture to determine whether or not the subject at hand belongs on your shelf. Do any of these episodes, or does the season as a whole have shelf life? Where's your cutoff where the shelf life comes in at?
Okay.
It might be the entire thing. Rachel is a big Doctor Who fan.
I am. For me, the whole season, I'm going to say the season is on the shelf, as it should be, because it is like the start of the new era and all of that. If there was a cutoff, I don't really want to say there is, because I'm going to just rewatch all of these anyways, including Boomtown, even though it's at the bottom. You probably could just say, like, the top 10? I don't even know where to cut it off. I don't know where to cut it off. I don't know where to say to cut it off. The top 5 are like the definites, obviously, and then like the middle are kind of like in the middle. So, but to me, all of them are on the shelf. I feel like I can't. I'm gonna do a rewatch. I'm gonna watch everything. It's just it's all gonna be there. I can't help myself.
That's fine.
It feels wrong.
I understand.
But for you, go ahead.
Okay,
Let me know.
Remember
Kevin's is probably like the normal person watching Doctor Who. I'm not the normal Doctor Who person, so it's hard for me to talk about it.
It's fine. That's part of the difference in perspective.
Right.
I am not a Doctor Who fan. I do not feel bad that we watch these. Rachel's, of course, wanted me to watch Doctor Who for her entire life. We have to remember.
I'm forcing it on you. I just think you'd like some of it.
Sort of.
You'd like some of the stories.
The thing to remember is that the podcast is not, is it good or great or not? It's, would you have this on your shelf? Do you want this on your shelf for posterity? Rachel's got it on the shelf. I don't need it on the shelf.
I do, yeah.
And
you
for
can
me,
borrow it.
Right, exactly. So, like, if I ever need to see Doctor Who again, I can borrow the Blu-ray. I'm gonna say no, because it's just not for me. But
does it
mind...
work well as a story? Does it work well?
100%.
Yes.
Now, my cutoff would be probably the long game. And in reality, it would probably be the end of the world, but you kind of need to watch the long game to be able to get the Bad Wolf arc.
And that's on, like, our rankings, not where...
That's what I'm saying, on the rankings,
you would cut it off, inside of, like, when it starts, because, like, the Dalek is right before that. You need to watch the Dalek.
No, right. I'm saying that you could skip the Slitheen shit and the Unquiet Dead. And you really don't even need to see Rose either, even if they establish the characters and stuff. I'm saying this as a normal person. If I were to go back and rewatch them, which ones would I rewatch?
You'll start with the Dalek.
I'd start with Dalek in production order.
In order.
Yeah, I'd go from there. And actually, I could watch End of the World maybe, but I'd probably start with Dalek and then go from there and skip The Empty Child, or not The Empty Child, and skip Boomtown.
Yeah, you'd probably be like, "I'll watch The End of the World" because it's goofy, but
right.
I
like the goofiness of it.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong, I do.
It's
like
hard not to
it.
like the skin flap character, as you've
she's
grown
great.
to call her. She's fantastic.
So overall, I'm probably gonna say no. At best, it's a digital shelf for me. I like the fact that I can pull these up, but Rachel's got it on the shelf. Kevin doesn't need to have it on the shelf. It's fine. That's fine. There might be a series of Doctor Who, Rachel, that I'm like, oh, that was so good, I'm going to put it on there.
I might be.
I do like Eccleston as the Doctor, though, and I didn't.
Yeah.
I did not. I will truly tell you, through the first 5 episodes of this series, I was like, I don't like this character. If this keeps up, I'm not going to like the Doctor. And he found
like a
way.
lot of people a lot of people say, honestly.
Okay.
So
I do like Rose
unsurprising.
Tyler. She's a very good character.
Yes.
But it took a long time for me to be like, oh, he was just figuring out how to like balance all this shit, and then he's gone.
Right.
So that is Doctor Who Series 1, the Christopher Eccleston 9th Doctor. Cross it off the list, Rachel. I can't believe it. We did an entire series of Doctor Who. It's on your digital shelf if you really need it. But Rachel, it is
on the shelf.
There you go. I like having it on Max. It's there if I need it. Rachel wants it in a physical copy form, and I
probably
completely
would want to
understand
get it signed. So
I completely understand that. If you ever get to meet, I don't know if I feel like Eccleston's the kind of guy that wouldn't want to meet anyone. I feel like Billy Piper for sure is. I can meet Billy Piper with you. We can all stick our tongues out in a photo. That's fine. But Billy Piper, if you're listening, and I know you are, find us for Shelf Life. We'll do a fun photo. But yes, that was The Doctor. We have finally done it, Rachel. We got through all of those things. I'm exhausted. I am going to go die and regenerate for the next series. What do you say?
I think that sounds fun. We'll go off onto a little adventure in the TARDIS.
That was me regenerating.
I just want to hear like a...
Yeah, I pop when I regenerate. So, until next time, we have even more to do here on Volume 5. True. When it comes to the Doctor, remember to reach for the skis. I mean skies. We'll see you in another time and another place. On Shelf Life. I've been Kevin.
And I'm Rachel.
And we'll see you next time for more Build the Shelf.
Build the Shelf action.
Building the Shelf action.
Building Shelf Life.
See you in hell.